Friday night, here we go. Guys, not only, this is going to be a great show tonight, but not only do I have an amazing panel, these guys are helping me out before the show with my audio. You know, we've been having a bit of audio issues here, and it's all on my side. The audience has always been you're like my acoustic engineer, so I appreciate you guys out there. Let me know how the sound is, if you can hear me when I introduce the first guest, if you hear their voice, just let me know. It's a quick fix I can make here. But nonetheless, I need everyone in the audience to help participate with this. I want to say, guys, what a break. You know, I took last week off, Thanksgiving. A lot of podcasts did the same. You take 1 week off, and it's like you just completely, the wheels fall off. It's like I've never done this before. But nonetheless, it's fantastic to be back this week. We've got unbelievable news. Please tweet it out. Let somebody know. Call a family or a relative. Let them know that the Mooch and CrossFire is live. It's going to be an outstanding show tonight. Outstanding show. If you guys would please humor me and take a moment and hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Your name comes up in lights. And if you look at that fantastic description down there, right above that's the join button. That's the guys that all decide to join the channel and help this channel become what it is. And I can't say thank you enough. So I'm going to call each one of these out one by one. And then I want to get to this amazing panel because we've got a lot of hot topics and a lot of news that broke just a few hours ago. That being said, I want to say thanks to the great JudaZuk, WoolleyGamer, MumbleRanting Gaming, Tyson Web 509, TrueWiddy, Alphonso Carter, pardon me, BRAP, who may be joining us. We're not sure. He's at happy hour. We'll find out soon. Jamie, Damion, the great Jimmy Harrison, who's here, Andy Hart, Red Hood 420, Ham Solo 05, Rob Jones, Night Ripper 7, Toto Dupe, Thumbs, JC 2013, right there. I see him right there in the chat. Passive Prophet, Lord Metroid, Rabbit Got the Gun, Fastbender, Archmore Angel, Biggity 08, Slow-Mo Backslap, who you're going to hear from very shortly, Henry Heck, Ice Queen Gaming, shout out to Dawn. Hope Dawn's feeling better. Hope she gets to catch the replay tomorrow morning. The great Silent Merc, who I've been talking to for the past few hours, and our major Mooch Maniacs, PlayStation 5 Sweden, X Abbott, 4-Star General, AD, Truth Serum, RPG 88, your boy Roy, Scolari Brothers, Smokes 901, DC Gaming, Miko, Gaming with Persona, and Jay Bari, who are going to be doing some Saturday morning What's Up PlayStations. I believe they're going to do tomorrow, but I'm not 100%. We'll wait for that clarification. Maybe they'll be in the chat in a little while and be able to clarify that. But I know they're doing at least 2 more shows in December. So shout out to them. That's how I start my Saturday. That's how I recommend you guys start yours. Shout out to Tactical Gamer, Danelle Brown, that guy Smitty, Brian B, a.k.a. Delirium Blades, and our VIP Mooch Maniacs, General Thad Ape, Shadow Assassin, Raji, Domino Zero, the Wise Old Gamer, and our honorable mentions. They're out there with the food, water, toilet, come home. Edward Jordan, Supreme Samurai, Julian Johnson, and our forever Mooch Maniacs. Shout out to the great Longshot 316 and the forever Mooch Maniac, the great Optimus Code. That being said, we have a new Mooch Maniac family member, Christian the Bad Gamer. I like the name. I love the name. Welcome to the Mooch Maniac family, Christian. I appreciate you being here, buddy. We will add you to the list starting next week. That being said, I have an outstanding panel. Let's get to this because I've got a lot of topics and I don't want to miss any of these topics. Usually we get to 2. I've got 11. Okay, I think the over-under tonight's going to be 4. So you guys go ahead and gamble and go ahead and do what you're going to do in the chat. That being said, I want to say what's up to the great Eric Jackson tonight. As you guys know, we call him the voice of reason. You know, there's a lot of different reasons that I have to have you on the show. And listen, sometimes the gods work in our favor, and you're here tonight because there's going to be a lot of back and forth. It's a lot of what he said. But that being said, hopefully you can straighten everybody out, me included. Eric, how you doing tonight, buddy? And thanks for being with us.
Oh, man, thanks for having me. It's great to be here. I'll do my best, man. I tell you though, bro, looking at like Twitter timelines, people are off their damn rocker.
They really are.
Like there is no logic out there, man. So voices of reason, whatever you want to call it, they're just not hearing it. So we'll try though, man. We'll give it a shot.
Well, Eric, listen, I thought I'd bring in some reserves for you. When I need a little bit of voice of reason, also the great Slow-Mo Backslap. You guys are all part of the original BRAP podcast. Slow-Mo, listen, I brought you in as well tonight because Eric just said it himself. He may need a little backup. I might need a little backup. So Slow-Mo, welcome to the show, buddy. Outstanding DPS. You guys know DPS Thursday nights, 9 p.m. Eastern with the great Slow-Mo Backslap and the great Gaming Forte, who hopefully will be joining us after work. Slow-Mo, how you doing tonight?
Doing pretty good. It's been a pretty busy day. You know, I've been kind of running around all day long with just like, you know, family stuff and work. But it's good to kind of just, you know, relax, you know, sit down, discuss maybe like 5 seconds of some games, and then like 95% of the podcast be yelling at each other about what you know this executive said over someone else. So let's get into it, man. I'm ready for it.
Well, that's great. I got the quotes here ready to go, so we're going to get the audience all riled up. Shout out to the great Crap Gamer. I see him in the chat. He's doing his job out there. Crap is doing his thing. He's going to be great. You're going to love the audio, and you're going to love the text. Shout out to Crap out there. Great to see him here. I know he works on a lot of Friday nights, but it's great to have Crap with us. I want to just say shout out to the great Merc305. Merc, listen, I know you're into football. I believe you're into every sport God's ever created. I just want to say I appreciate you being here this Friday night. It is very difficult to get you on the show, but every time you're here, it's just A+ quality. Merc, how you doing this evening?
Hey man, looking forward to the show. If the schedule's finally aligned, where I can be on the show, I appreciate the invite. Looking forward to the discussion. It's definitely been an interesting couple weeks in gaming, which I'm sure we're going to get into some of those topics later. Should be fun.
Well, Mark, that's why you're here, buddy. You're kind of like, you've always gone down as the PC gamer, so to have that perspective as we go back and forth here, Mark, you chime in and let us know where it is from the outside sitting in, okay? You're over there in the PC world watching us all fight from above, so we'll see what happens, all right, Mark? We're going to need your input tonight for sure.
Absolutely.
And this is another gentleman here. This is his first time on the show. I got to welcome Nib. And, we're going to call him Nib, but he goes by Nib95 over on Twitter. Very opinionated. And let me tell you something. Go over and follow him. And I'm going to actually just read out his Twitter because I know Nib doesn't do his own podcast. And Nib, if I'm wrong, you correct me. It's Nib95_. Go over and follow him on Twitter, now known as X. But this man doesn't just do like an opinion paragraph. He does an opinion. Elon Musk gave us 7,000 characters. He uses 6,999 to get his point across. Nib is very thorough. Great to have the man on the show, finally. And let me tell you, it earned. I had to earn that follow back. Nib, welcome back to CrossFire. Pardon me. Welcome to CrossFire for the first time. How you doing tonight? Well, see, that I don't even have Nib. Nib's not even going to talk to me. That's the thing. It took forever to get a follow. Maybe Nib's his mic might not be working.
He left all his words on Twitter.
He did.
He's got nothing left for the podcast.
I just saw another 7,000 pop up. 7,000 characters.
He said what he had to say. Well,
Nib, I'm going to keep going down the panel here. But, buddy, listen, you chime in as soon as you get that mic fixed. We'll work it out. We did audio checks before, so Nib was sounding good. Maybe just something came unhooked or he changed the settings. So, Nib, we'll wait for you to jump back in. But, listen, last but certainly not least, this is exciting. He's been absolutely on fire on Twitter, okay, X. But I got to say, I love his takes on Weapon Wheel. You guys know it's Weapon Wheel Podcast, 5:45 p.m. Eastern Time on Sundays. The great Jack Move Johnny is on the show. And Jack, not only are you not shy to speak your mind, and the one thing people don't realize, and I'm going to say it on the show for people who may not know Jack legitimately talks about video games as a whole. Okay, yes, he may play on PlayStation, but he is as harsh on PlayStation as you could possibly get. So Jack, when we have these topics we're going to talk about tonight, I'm going to actually sit back and enjoy what you got to say in the commentary. Jack, welcome back to Crossfire, buddy. How you doing tonight?
What's good? What's poppin'? Shout out to Mooch, shout out to the Crossfire podcast, the panel. I do feel like I'm a voice of reason, logical, but I also feel like I'm off my rocker too. So, it's something wrong with me. That's probably what it is, but I'm very critical of PlayStation, man. We all sports fans are here, right? When your teammate, hey, man, listen, you got to criticize what you like. That's how I feel, you know what I mean? So.
Yeah, we gotta keep it 100. You're not off your rocker. It goes left when dudes come in and go left on you.
Okay, I'm glad somebody know. I ain't want to say it. I'm glad somebody know. I appreciate that. I said, okay.
No, truth hurts. No, truth hurts people. So when you tell the truth about stuff, that's when people lose their minds.
You see it, man. You see it.
Yep. You get emotional like Carl Thomas.
There you go.
Okay.
What?
Emotional, and I can't let go.
Mooch, I can't.
Am I wrong?
Those BRAPs, stream sniping.
I know that, BRAP. No, that might be a couple of margaritas in. BRAP, what an entrance, buddy. How you doing tonight?
I'm doing well, actually, and I'm actually worried about slow-mo.
Oh, really?
Drunk uncle here, y'all.
Uh-oh. Here we go.
No, I'm just worried about
drunk uncle in the house.
No drunk uncle. I'm just saying.
I'm good. I'm good, Enrique. I'm good.
I'm worried about your addiction to Red Bull.
Well, that's not really an addiction to Red Bull. You kind of need that these days. If Slow-Mo's got a family, he has to game late, so I understand that. Shout out to the great Nib. Are you able to hear us now, Nib? I saw you came back in.
I could hear you before. I just couldn't. My mic wasn't working. Can you hear me now?
You're crystal clear, buddy. You're crystal clear.
Oh, okay, nice.
Welcome to the show.
Yeah, I was going to say, don't follow me, guys, unless every tweet you want to be a thesis. So yeah,
it's going to be great.
Unless you could read a lot, don't follow me.
No,
Okay.
Nib, good to have you here. And buddy, honestly, you can legitimately write it down first and then read it however you want to go, Nib. But I'm going to go ahead and put the great Jack Movejohnny on the hot seat tonight. Jack, I got to ask you, and I'm going to go ahead and do due diligence here. So I'll pose the question to you, and I'll read the two comments that has everybody on fire right now. So, of course, earlier in the week, everyone was saying Xbox may go third party after the latest interviews by Microsoft CFO Tim Stewart. You know, what would really happen? Now, I just want to read this to you because it's important. What Tim Stewart said here, and this is, I'll read it when it's quote or when it's not quoted. It says, while he's, quote, not announcing anything broadly, end quote, Stewart explains that Xbox's mission is to bring its first-party experiences and subscription services to every screen that can play a game. Now, quote again, that means smart TVs, that means mobile devices, that means what we would have thought as competitors in the past, like PlayStation and Nintendo. We're going to NVIDIA's GeForce Now, their gaming subscription service. Now, I know a lot of people in the chat will say that was just referring to the ABK deal, but when you listen to what he said here, that means we would have thought as our competitors in the past, like PlayStation and Nintendo. So maybe that's only what he meant as far as ABK. But then today, shout out to the great Jez Corden, by the way. It really was an outstanding interview that he did over on Windows Central. I've known Jez for many, many years, so you got to give Jez his flowers. An outstanding opportunity to sit there, CEO of Microsoft Gaming. He sat down with Phil Spencer. And this is the quote that I'm going to read, Jack. He says, Phil says, we have no plans to bring Xbox Game Pass to PlayStation or Nintendo. Now, we can dive a little bit deeper into that as we get into this conversation, Jack. But where are you on this as far as Xbox, not Game Pass, but putting their games and then maybe eventually putting Game Pass on Nintendo and PlayStation platforms?
Me personally, when I hear this, man, I can't stand it personally. You know what I mean? I'm a big proponent of, exclusivity. I just think exclusivity adds value to your brand, right? We see it with Nintendo. Nintendo's the only one of the big three that don't put their games nowhere. And their games sell the most out of everybody. So it lends to believe that, and people don't need, people will try to shit on the Switch. But at the end of the day, everybody, all these PC gamers, 30 frames is unplayable. If it ain't this resolution, is unplayable. All these dudes got a fucking Switch in their back pocket, right? So it's like,
hey.
Oh, you want to right to know what I'm saying?
I'm one of them, Jack Move. I'm one of them.
See, that's what I'm saying, though. So I feel like I don't like that when I hear that. And I think, we see how PlayStation act when, they ain't got no comp. Well, this going to even be work. Like, I don't like this for PlayStation standpoint. They're going to get lazier than they are right now. And I always thought eventually they would try to put like a Game Pass on a PlayStation, like a GIMP version. Maybe it got like some third-party games, the Bethesda, the Activision games, but not none of the heavy hitters. But I don't like what I'm hearing, bro. This is horrible for competition. I can't stand it.
All right, so you don't know, Nib. I gotta say, I kind of understand where Jack's coming from. It doesn't matter what other, and BRAP says it a lot of times on the show, Nib. No matter what other category we ever talk about, having exclusive content is what defines you, your platform, your brand. So when it comes down to it, that's why people were saying they were kind of rolling with the whole third-party notion, okay? Once you're going to put your first-party games, maybe only some at first, but if you're going to put some at first on other platforms, you would soon believe that maybe others would if that's making Microsoft financial sense. So, Nib, you've heard it, you've read the quotes. I'm not going to read them again. You know this. Where are you on this whole thing that's going back and forth between Tim Stewart and what we heard from Phil Spencer today?
So I think, first of all, I don't know if it was necessarily related to just Activision, because he actually prefaced the entire quote that you read with, for us, when we think about the business, gaming as it relates to Microsoft and with Activision. So because he separated Microsoft and Activision, I assume he's talking more broadly. I agree with I agree with Jack. Like I do think exclusives are, it differentiates your platform and your business model. However, what I said even yesterday when this whole conversation came up, I imagine what they're because I didn't think they would put Game Pass on PlayStation to begin with, because during the FTC case we had quite a lot of insight into this whole thing, and what we learned was that it's actually PlayStation and Nintendo, who were referred to as the closed platforms, who were rejecting having Game Pass on their on their platform. So presumably Microsoft has approached them already, and I think there was a email as well shared between Phil and one other person where they also spoke about getting Game Pass on these other consoles.
Tim Sweeney, actually.
Yeah, Tim Sweeney. Yeah. So it's the other platforms that are rejecting it. So on that basis, what I thought maybe Tim Stewart was alluding to is perhaps getting more of their first-party experiences, quote, which is the word he used, as in the games themselves on the other platforms, but have Game Pass as the differentiator, as the exclusive, so to speak, and the value proposition differentiator on the Xbox. So yes, you can buy more Xbox games, not all of them, but more Xbox games on the PlayStation and Nintendo platforms. However, because these guys don't want Game Pass on their system, because they have competing subscriptions, if you want Game Pass, you still buy the Xbox platform.
This is okay. So basically, you're saying that, and I apologize. I was talking. The Great Hustle and Motivate is going to be joining us in a moment, so I was just working him behind the scenes. Yeah. But the other part of my question here, and I think it kind of correlates with that because I have other different documentation here that I'm reading as well. That this was offered to PlayStation and Nintendo in earlier years, and it was them that actually said no. But how? Slow-mo, you're botting a bit, buddy. I can't hear you. Okay. Yeah, we can't hear Slow-mo. The great audio issues. Thank you, YouTube. Thank you for all this tech support. But here comes Slow-mo's coming right back. Hopefully this sets it up because I do want to hear what you have to say. Slow-mo, go ahead and speak your mind.
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Yeah, you're good.
Nothing you were saying before, so could you repeat that?
Well, Slow-mo's drinking Red Bulls right now, so that's part of the issue.
It's all right. His blood alcohol's still zero, though, BRAP, so it's a good thing.
The Red Bull isn't affecting my hearing.
So no,
I'm good though.
What we were saying earlier, though, Slow-mo, was just basically we know that with rumors, with some of the things that the text, I believe, Nib, and if you want to repeat yourself, please don't let me contradict you here. But it was said earlier that basically I believe PlayStation and Nintendo had rejected, or at least PlayStation has rejected having Game Pass on their platform.
Yeah, I can read you the direct quotes if you want.
If you don't mind, Nib, go ahead. It would help me too. While getting
so from the FTC case, it was stated blah blah blah, basis for idea of acquiring Call of Duty, blah blah. It's tip services and Sony has chosen to block Game Pass from PlayStation, so it is not available on PlayStation. And then Xbox also said later, we have no plans to bring, as in Game Pass, to any other kind of closed platforms right now, mainly because those closed platforms don't want something like Game Pass. So those two quotes, basically, one, PlayStation is blocking Game Pass, that's why it's not on there, and two, then they don't have any plans to bring Game Pass because the other closed platforms don't want it. So when Jez asked, when he asked Phil, do you have plans to bring Game Pass to the other platform? I was a bit disappointed because I was like, what I wanted him to ask is, do you have plans to bring more first-party games to? Because, Tim, one of the quotes that he said specifically was first-party experiences. Because I already had the feeling that no, it would be a no to Game Pass, just because if the platforms don't want it, how are you going to force it? Whereas on the first-party side, there is a chance that maybe more games could go to competing platforms.
Slow-mo, did that help you at all?
Yeah, and I guess I just don't understand what the difference would be. Hold on. Well, because they already chose not to put Starfield on competing platforms, and they already have shown that when it comes to, at least with some of the acquisitions that they're making, that they're not putting those games on competing platforms. It seems like the only ones they really are doing that with are ones that already have a history of being on those different platforms, like Minecraft, like Call of Duty, so on and so forth, Elder Scrolls Online. So I think it's just, I think the bigger issue here is Xbox's issue with communication, because they can't stay on message.
Yep.
And when it always seems to be Tim who's like saying something that they got like 2 days later correct. I hate to make a sports analogy, but in sports,
Austin Commanders.
When you
Smart.
Good God. Thank you, Brad.
I mean, am I wrong, Soba? I mean, the Commanders are probably a good, data point here.
Well, this is what I'm saying. When you have people who are saying the wrong things to the press, they get shut down. They get shut up, and then they limit the number of people who are speaking to the press. The people who can stay on message, the people who have accurate information. This is kind of the stuff that Pete Hines complained about in the leaked email when Todd Howard was going to be at some public event and press was going to be there, and they had just did the ABK deal. Pete Hines is like, look, we don't know what to say. What is Todd Howard supposed to say when press starts asking him questions that he doesn't have answers to? He's got no more answers than the press does. They can't seem to all be on the same page. And if Phil Spencer comes out and says we got no plans of putting Game Pass on PlayStation and Nintendo,
because they've rejected.
Wait a minute. Wait,
because
those
platforms have rejected that though.
But
well, look, I got no plans to have sex with Nicki Minaj because she won't have sex with me. Like, so it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who said no.
Wait, hold on.
It's not happening.
But it does matter because we know that Phil Spencer to Tim Sweeney said we're trying to get Game Pass on PlayStation, Nintendo, and Tim Sweeney's like basically,
is it on? It's not. It's not going there.
But here's my biggest problem.
We know that, but Tim Sweeney said, "Hey, keep up the good fight," basically, and Phil Spencer's like, "Yeah," and so we know that's what they desire. So we know that is ultimately at the end of the day, if Sony says yes, we will allow Game Pass on.
Is Sony going to say yes?
They're not going to. We know this, but
it's a non-starter.
But
is what I'm saying.
But what I'm saying is the behavior they want, like everything else, like Windows, like everything else Microsoft is related to, like putting on their products on different platforms. They want that to happen.
Here's the thing, though, guys. But BRAP, one thing you have to take a step back and realize is this, and you guys on the panel, tell me if I'm right or wrong. But how can Phil say, when he's asked, are you planning to put Game Pass on Nintendo and PlayStation? If he was to say yes, what would that in fact do immediately? What would that do immediately?
He wants to. We know that he wants to.
I understand that, but he's just said there's no plans. If he said there were plans,
because they said no.
But what would that do to the Xbox sales? It would plummet. At that point, you'd have people say, I'm not going to buy an Xbox at all because I'll just play it on one of the other consoles I already have. So
there was
sales are plummeting anyway.
Right. Yeah, the point about would PlayStation ever, obviously we're all just theorizing, right? I think the only situation in which they might is similar to Ubisoft Plus and EA Play and all the others, is if Xbox was not a platform holder. If they were not a platform holder, I think that, yes, Sony would actually, even if it is slightly competing with their own subscription service, but as a publisher, I think they would allow Game Pass on the system, because then it's not a direct competition in the same way. I mean, like someone else said, the sales are collapsing of the console side, but Microsoft also, I think Phil also said in his emails during the FTC case that they kind of had an idea that would happen, because they're putting more of their marketing and more of their emphasis on Game Pass, which is their primary platform at the moment, and PC as well. So they knew there would be some cannibalization of the console platform. But I do think this whole thing, I don't personally think they are going to go third party, but if that were to ever happen, I think it would be bad for PlayStation gamers, honestly, really bad, because you need someone to hold the other person's feet to the fire.
Yes, I agree.
Competition is good. Can you imagine a situation where the high performance competitor no longer exists? Sony is going to get brazen and they're going to get arrogant, and we as consumers will suffer in terms of pricing and whatever other.
Get brazen
with Nib. They're doing.
I'm already doing it now.
Yeah, exactly. Nib.
It would just get worse.
It would just get worse. Yeah, I agree.
They're doing it right now. I mean, and so Like at the end of the day, Microsoft doesn't care about whether or not they're going to be the secondary option to PlayStation. Like Phil Spencer said, Phil Spencer already said we could not out-console PlayStation or Nintendo. Like, so when the CEO of your like gaming division says, "Hey, we can't compete with the competitors," that says a lot. And I was hoping, like for me personally, like, I was hoping that Xbox would compete with Sony, because I don't want to say arrogant Sony, but I don't want a Sony that's only providing high-end console experiences and the only option in the market for those experiences, because we know what happens when they do that.
Yeah,
There's no choice, and they can do whatever they want.
Think about this for a second. In what scenario? Because so let's say you're sitting.
Hey, Burke. By the way,
Xbox.
we don't have this problem on PC. By the way, Burke.
Of course not. I mean, it's glorious over here. It's never raining. It's always sunny.
Exactly.
Yeah, we just get extorted by Nvidia, but go ahead, bro.
Hey, I went on strike and I'm on an AMD GPU.
Good for you. You got out of the rat race.
I did. But anyways, that's a conversation for another day. But if you're sitting here and let's say you're Phil Spencer, right? And you're like, yeah, okay, we want to go third party. But at the end of the day, how are they going to sell Game Pass without selling hardware? Because if they ever decide, hey, listen, we're going to go full third party, forget the hardware, they've built their entire MO in the last few years and marketing and just solely around this one service. So if you decide, let's say next generation, hey, I'm not going to generate hardware, I'm just third party publish games, how are you going to continue to sell that service? You're essentially starting at zero. So it's a pretty complicated proposition for them to even entertain that idea, if you really think about it.
I mean, Merc, I mean, like a lot of their Game Pass growth, the majority of it's from PC.
Exactly.
I wouldn't be surprised.
No, it is. I mean,
it's a great deal on PC.
And the Xbox growth is so stagnant right now. It's really bad. Like they don't report numbers on Xbox hardware sales, which is telling.
It's a by the way, because for sure.
Because
this is why. This is why I think like this whole idea of them bringing more first-party games to PlayStation, it does make some financial sense, right? Because if you have a situation where, say, in a multi-platform game, a console sales, if you're talking 70, 60, 70, sometimes 80, I think Resident Evil 4 was 85% or something like that, of those sales are going to be on this dominant platform, but then you make that game exclusive and you suddenly diminish your reach by a huge amount. You could still have the game release on PlayStation, have the high margin that Tim Stewart talked about, because they get 70% then instead of the 30% cut. You have your high margin, and then at the same time you are still incentivizing Game Pass, because anyone who doesn't want to buy it in the traditional sense can just have it via Game Pass, via PC or console or whatever. So they would still inadvertently grow Game Pass while simultaneously having this additional revenue stream, which would probably, add viability for Game Pass, because then you have another stream of revenue to also fund it and fund more games, fund more growth, etc., etc. So it could make financial sense. That's what I'm saying.
If I could just chime in real quick, BRAP, I want to welcome the great. He's got hindsight with Hustle. It's Hustle Motivate. The great Hustle Motivate's with us tonight. Hustle, great to have you here tonight, Hustle. We are discussing the whole back and forth, and shout out to BitCloud and everybody over at RGT as well. I know you guys are just getting done with the podcast. To go back to back is very, very. It's very professional of you, Hustle. So I appreciate you being here.
Hey man, no worries. Hey, how my audio sound?
Hustle, I think you might have the best audio on YouTube. You're not aware of this, but I've told you this 100 times. You're the one who helped me originally set up my old setup.
Hey, Hustle, DMV.
Indeed, man. Indeed. All except the commanders. What up, Slow Mo? I see you.
Come on.
Don't say what's up to me, Hustle, and then throw in that slander like that. The season's already bad enough. I don't need to feel this.
Why did he single you out? That's what I want to know.
It hurts. He know it hurts. It's all right.
We see what's going on.
So, Hustle, I gotta ask you real quick. I want to get your take on this, and I want to hear the great Eric Jackson as well, because this is where Eric really comes in on his forte. Really is Hustle. It's the miscommunication that I have the biggest problem with. and you guys know I covered Xbox for a long time. You know, it's just you hear one thing, then you hear another, and it's as a consumer. Do you ever wonder, are they on the same page? And, you know, before we used to say, oh, Xbox is further down. No one's listening to Xbox. But, you know, Phil sits at the round table with everybody as a CEO. And you've got this verbiage that's coming out from Tim Stewart. And it just doesn't. Nib even said it. I said, you know, maybe it's just the Activision deal that Tim was talking about. And Nib goes, not actually, if you actually look at what he was saying. It goes across all first-party games. So, Hustle, with me, it's more of the not being on the same page, the crossed messages. Where are you on all of this, Hustle, as far as what happened earlier this week with Tim's quotes and now what's happening with, again, I want to give credit where credit's due, the great Jez Corden, who sat down with Phil at Windows Central. I encourage all of you guys to go over and check out that article. It was outstanding. A great interview. Hustle, where are you on all this?
So, this is in reference to Xbox allegedly going third party, correct?
Third party. There's like 3 different breakdowns. Either third party, Game Pass being everywhere, or just possibly ABK. Some first party games going to other platforms. However you want to divvy it up.
Okay, so in terms of Game Pass going everywhere, I think that was kind of debunked. So we talked about this on the RGT podcast. That was kind of debunked. I think whatever deal that they offered to PlayStation, and when PlayStation denied it, they said, hey, that's it, that's all. All right, you don't want it, you don't want it. And now that they have the deal, I don't think that they're going to go back on it. As far as the miscommunication, like this ain't the first time we've seen Xbox make miscommunications like this to begin with. So I ain't really surprised at all. Like, I don't know. Like, yo, do they have like weekly meetings over there? Like, do they talk to each other? Like, what's going on to where they keep making that mistake? And it seems like that they make that mistake quite regularly in terms of communication. It's like, who's talking to who? Like, what's the chain of command over there?
Yeah, exactly.
Because a lot of people out here looking crazy. That the messaging is extremely mixed. But Xbox won't go third party. They won't. In terms of, they may have Call of Duty third party.
Why are you so confident in that, though, Hustle? Just, I mean, I'm asking. It's not, nothing behind the question.
I think they're already there.
No. They're not going third party, especially with their first party stuff, with the exception of
they already are a third party.
They're already there, though.
Yeah,
but they're not technically a full-on third party. They're a third party on certain platforms. Like they already, like as soon as they acquired Minecraft back in 2014, they were a third party on PlayStation.
But all the platforms are.
But Slow-Mo, I think the big thing, Slow-Mo, like what I see is like when I see like Samsung TVs and I see Game Pass on Samsung, like what's included Game Pass? First party games day and date. To me, that's third party right there. It's not delayed releases, it's day and date. Whether it's on your Samsung phone or
let me rephrase my point there. They're not going third party, I put that in quotations, with Nintendo and PC or Nintendo and PlayStation day one. They're not doing that. Except like probably with like Call of Duty.
Always make a console.
Yeah, I mean,
so like they'll always have in that realm.
But
they can afford to do that. They can afford to do that, but whether they will do that is the question. Because every company has like a ceiling that they're willing to hit. That I don't give a damn how much money they make, how rich they are. If you're doing something that is not making sense anymore, you're gonna pivot. It doesn't matter. I mean, they're not gonna. This is the thing. I was gonna say. I'm sorry, Hustle. Finish your point. I didn't mean to cut you off. Go ahead.
No. I was gonna say. I think games like Call of Duty, like the real big ones, Call of Duty, Minecraft, stuff like that stays there, but then you see games like Starfield that won't be there. You see games like
Question.
What's up?
How about this? You guys see Destiny, the next Destiny being a third party game? Because
Yes.
Well, they kind of said that already.
They already said that though.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. They already said that they wouldn't be one platform.
Everything Bungie makes is multi-plat, even though they're owned by Sony now.
If
Talk about
you
messaging.
look closely, outside of Nintendo,
Exactly.
they're all third party to varying degrees. That's all I'm saying, including Sony.
Yeah, because Sony's also got MLB The Show, which is across platforms, right?
I will say with Sony is very like Apple. Like Apple has apps on Android, but they don't advertise that as much. The focus of Apple's always Apple hardware, the Apple ecosystem. It's not that you can get, Apple iTunes on, Android, which you can today.
All right. Let me ask you this, Brad. The Last of Us 3. Let's say it comes out 2 years from now.
Okay.
And you said, you know what? I'm not buying it on PlayStation. I'm never going to buy it. Do you think you'll have an opportunity to play that game elsewhere at some point in time?
Yeah, on PC, probably, yeah.
Yeah, on PC.
There you go.
But I'm not going to wait for it. I'm not going to wait for it.
I get it. I get it. I won't wait for it either. That's one of my favorite games of all time. But I'm just saying, they're all third party to varying degrees.
Agreed. I was going to say, just to elaborate on Sony's console multi-platform elements, it's not quite the same because MLB, I believe they requested multi-platform development for the license rights, and then obviously Bungie.
Yes, MLB did.
Yeah,
MLB was
and then Bungie, I believe one of the terms. One of the terms of Bungie.
Yeah, I think MLB kind of forced PlayStation's hand on that.
No, they did because they wanted more money. They wanted more revenue.
Yeah. And I think Bungie was similar because they wouldn't agree to the acquisition unless they had autonomy and control to publish where they wanted. So even though those games are, quote unquote multi-platform, I don't know how much of that is because of Sony. It's more because they had their hand not forced, but it was part of the agreement.
I agree.
It's going to be like that. Like, hold on, real quick, Merc. I think it's we see the same thing.
Is it like Red Bull
with
in your house,
Microsoft.
Slow-mo?
I'm not drinking Red Bull right now, Enrique. It's the same thing. It's the same thing for Xbox as well as PlayStation, but how they got to the same destination is different. Sony was kind of had their arm twisted to get to that point, but they were amendable to it. They've kind of felt like whatever Bungie provided with them with additional revenue as well as their expertise in live service games as a service games was enough for them to go ahead and allow everything that they make going forward, not just Destiny, to be multi-platform. MLB's like, we want this on more platforms. They could have definitely said, well, all right, well, Sony San Diego is going to start doing something else, because you go find a new developer that's going to put this on Xbox. But instead, they actually just said, all right, we'll put it on Xbox whether they wanted to or not. But the end result is they did it. And that's the intention behind it, or all the nuance behind the scenes versus Xbox, who was more willing to try to put their stuff everywhere, means nothing in the grand scheme of things. Because they're both still doing the same thing.
Yeah, true. I do think with Xbox like being more willing to do it, it might only be because of their market position in terms of the console, split. I think if they were the more dominant platform, they also would not be too keen to make their games multi-platform either. But obviously, because they have, so in a way,
and to their overall strategies and organization as a company, like Microsoft's about like we want software everywhere, like. If you look at what Satya's done, and like what Satya said about exclusives in video games, he's like, I don't want that. It doesn't make sense to me. Like he said this in the in the trial or whatever in this past summer.
Oh, their services DNA bleeds over in that.
Yeah, I mean the interesting thing is,
and Microsoft wants software everywhere, and so Microsoft. What I keep telling people is like the Microsoft business is aligning with the overall business of Microsoft, like or Xbox. The Xbox, it's aligning with the Microsoft business, where Satya says, you know what, we want software everywhere.
Well, that's it when it comes down to
it. That's like if you think about it in the past, and Brad, we talked about this. We made we did little jokes. Like I imagine when that infamous meeting that Phil had with Satya when they sat down and discussed the business or whatever. Satya probably said, that little box that you guys have is cute, but how does that fit what we do?
Exactly.
That seems like a simple CEO. That seems like a question a CEO would ask. Like, it's cute. It does a little something here and there, but it doesn't really fit what we do, and we need to figure out how that works. Oh, do you have an idea on how that works? Let me get back to you. Oh, yeah, I do have an idea how that works. We could do something like a Game Pass.
Yeah, so here's the thing. With everything, with all the things that they are pursuing, they do actually have integration with the larger business, right? Because Game Pass, cloud streaming, Azure, and now you have Azure.
Right.
And then now the rest of the conversation with Tim Sweeney, if you listen to the whole keynote or whatever conference, majority of it is actually talking about AI in gaming, and it sounds like Microsoft is positioning itself to be the front runner for AI tools and development and things like
ML,
that within
yeah.
gaming. Yeah, so if they are also doing that, if you imagine they're at the source, they want as many people using their AI algorithms or tools or whatever to do game development as humanly possible, right? Because there will be revenue in it for them. So their considerations are going to be very different. Even things like, because I always thought, why would they want people to move away from console where they get 30% margin to PC where they don't? But I suppose on PC they can sell other things like operating systems and software and subscriptions, etc. that are outside of the gaming sphere, so there is other revenue streams for them, and I guess it's the same with all this gaming stuff because they're thinking of a much bigger bottom line, that's more abstract.
Well, it's funny. I'm hearing what BRAP's saying, and I'm hearing what Nib's saying. I'm hearing what you guys are all saying, and this kind of comes back around full circle every time. Phil almost has this obligation, even when he went on the XCast, the Kind of Funny XCast show. He even said, what I'm about to say is going to bother some people when he was talking about the consoles and the way the console sales were going and being in third place. But Tim Stewart and Satya Nadella, they don't have that affiliation with the audience the way Phil does.
So that's funny you mentioned that. That's what I was going to touch on. Go ahead, man. I was going to say the same exact thing that you're saying. Is like Phil is beholden to a relic of like Twitter with the base.
Yes.
In 2013, we stepped on the rake and we're going to do everything we can to get off this couch and get back in the bed with you, baby. Whatever we got to do.
Right.
Whatever we got to do.
He said,
and he's
baby.
still beholden to that. What? No, yeah, we've said
you're
that
right.
before.
Like, baby, but you're right, though. I mean, like, you're right.
You sweet talking like I'm on the couch, man. It's cold on this couch. I want to get back in the bed. It's like, so I'm gonna say whatever I need to do whatever I need to do to get back in there, and that's what it was, and that's what it had been since 2013. And he's still somewhat beholden to that because he knows there's a hardcore base that he still has to talk to. Tim doesn't have to do that. I would say, listen more to the guy talking to the money than the guy talking to the base.
The CFO.
Because the guy talking to, that's why their messaging is so weird, because Phil wants to maintain we're the good guy. Hey, we're the good. Tim's like, yo, I'm talking to the money.
Right.
That's what it is, so
if
we have to pivot and do this is what we're going to do. If we have to pivot, and this is the part that I can't understand, is when people say, well, there you go, Phil debunked it. I don't have anything against Phil. I don't know the dude, but I wouldn't listen as a CEO and Phil's track record. I would not take what he says as face value every time he says something, because he's trying to say it in a way that doesn't piss people off. Right?
Yes.
So it's sort of that thing where it's like, oh, no. We're definitely going to be concerned about our baseline player and this and that. But where is that getting you? And Jack said this a few weeks ago, like, Sony should do whatever the hell they want to do because obviously the fan base doesn't care. And I watch dudes on the timeline, no matter what Microsoft says to them, they acquiesce to everything. Right? So
it's funny.
For years, and I had the blocks to prove it. For years, when you said, no, I don't know, man, this isn't hidden. Like, where are the exclusives? Exclusives don't matter. We don't need that. And there's plenty of games to play. What are you talking about? And now that they're buying, exclusives matter again, right? Oh, the power. They're never going to lose the power narrative to Sony. So Phil said that. They're never going to lose the power to. Here's the Series S. And now it's all about the Series S. Power's not even in the conversation anymore. So it's like, which one is it?
I think that's a great point about the CFO. Like, the CFO engages with the bean counters, and the bean counters always have the last say.
Right.
I'm seeing this. I'm seeing this right now in the company I work for, where we're making money, but we're not making as much money, and so we have to make tough decisions. And it's because of the bean counters. Like, the CFO is always it's all about bottom line. It always is.
It's so funny you say that, because in that keynote, one of the things he said, and I thought this was really interesting phrasing, right? He said they're talking about AI in as many games as possible, right? And he says, from the CFO standpoint, which is really interesting because he's literally talking specifically about himself. From the CFO standpoint, we actually see monetization opportunities, which we can talk about as well, which is, hey, you're getting more people into games more often. That's kind of our secret sauce. So what he was talking about is how they would basically lease out AI that can sort of when you want gamers to advise gamers to play games and things like that, they would integrate that into other titles and into operating systems of systems, PC, whatever, and they would get gamers to play more games more often. These AI systems, and that, he said, from a CFO monetization perspective, that's his secret sauce. So it's clear, like, you know, in the money talk is for him is a broader picture.
Well, I mean, Neb, to your point, like, if you look at like the overall like business plan, like with how Microsoft reports numbers, if you look at the quarterly numbers, like half of that is almost tools, like to developers. So like it's like it's giving developers DirectX 11 or other tools to make video games. So when like I see a lot of like Xbox fans like, oh, well, you know what, they're up in like 30% of like video games, and I'm like, well, it's not just video games, it's tools. It's licensing tools to third-party developers.
Yeah, I mean, he was talking about AI tools that will generate assets and everything, like AI generating. So they clearly have their hands in loads of pies, and obviously with the open AI stuff, that basically Microsoft hold all the AI cards right now. So if they do want to broaden that out and kind of be the one, instead of, because like you said, it's a box, right? They're not thinking about the box, they're thinking about the millions of potential games and software from all eternity.
So they're thinking about the tools. Yeah.
So Nib,
if you think about like what Satya said about first party games at the hearing, he was like, it doesn't make sense to me. Like I don't want that, more or less. Like that's like, this is the CEO of Microsoft saying first party games, exclusives, doesn't make sense to me. I don't want it.
Well, here's the thing. Nib brought up a good point, BRAP, and I want to ask Jack. Jack, I want to ask you a question here, because it kind of goes into what we're talking about when we're talking about just dollars have to make sense here at the end of the day. So when you look at other things that are out there, we've got Netflix, you've got Disney. Right now, Disney's in a downward spiral, especially on their streaming service. I believe the CEO came out and said we're going to stop worrying about quantity and we're going to do quality, right? Which, first of all, anybody in charge of business should never have to say. That's like business 101, right? You should worry about the quality of your product going out the door at all times. So my question for you, Jack, when we're talking about having a situation here where Game Pass or first-party games going to PlayStation, Nintendo, if let's say what Phil said in the interview on Windows Central is true, and they have no plans at all, and take that as far as you can go with it. If they're not going to have the help of Sony and Nintendo, Jack, how do they plan to improve the numbers of Game Pass? Because we've said it on the panel already, their sales on hardware are dropping. They have the Xbox Series X right now for $350, which we're going to get into in another topic in a moment. I still don't even think it may not even win NPD at that price, which is the same price as the 1 terabyte Xbox Series S. But Jack, without the help of Nintendo and Sony, my question to you is, how does Microsoft leverage Game Pass to more consumers out there than what they're doing right now without that help?
Ooh, you know what's crazy? I feel like they painted themselves in the corner, man, because at this point they're beholden to PC gamers, joining Game Pass, because they already merged the Xbox Live Gold with the Game Pass numbers on console. They cooked the books with that. So now it's like, but this is the problem. They also released the game on Steam or other store platforms. So it's like a lot of dudes on Steam might be on some I'm just gonna buy the game type shit, right? So I feel like I don't know what they could do, honestly. I mean, if this Samsung TV initiative or smartphone or whatever the hell they trying to do don't work out, man, I don't know, bro. This is, and once again, this is the problem with spreading yourself too thin and putting your shit everywhere, right?
Yes.
Now, if you only gave people one option, okay, you want Game Pass and you want to play our games on PC, you have to buy Game Pass. If you want Starfield on PC, you got to buy Game Pass. If you want Hi-Fi Rush, you got to buy. You know what I mean? They don't do that. They give you go here, you can go there. You ain't even got to own an Xbox, right? So I feel like they just paint themselves in the corner with this stuff.
That's a good point, because we see that on time and time again, right? It doesn't matter what game we're talking about. People that are, at least in the community, and it seems to be happening because we're seeing it on, it's not called NPD anymore, but whatever Matt Pescatella is now in charge of. Circana. And then we have the other gentleman that does the UK sales, physical sales, and he'll report digital shortly thereafter. you see 90, 80%, 75% of sales always going towards PlayStation when it's not released on Game Pass day one. And, I just saw the community the other night go crazy when they saw Remnant 2 and the first Remnant as well get shadow dropped, okay, into Game Pass. I bought Remnant 2 on day one on PlayStation 5. I wanted to play the game, right? My point being is I'm not going to wait for a possible shadow drop. It's just, and then we all sit here and complain that our backlog is completely out of control. So are you going to stop the 4 games maybe during the holiday you're playing right now through the month of December to put that down to go play a game that gets shadow dropped? Maybe you will, but a lot of people won't. So, I mean, you said it yourself, Jack. I really like they painted themselves in a corner here. They've literally trained the consumer to say, if you're in the Xbox ecosystem, you will wait for Game Pass to have it, or you don't play it. Now they say, oh, we want you to buy it, we want this, we want that. But when people are paying $17 a month for Game Pass Ultimate, do they really feel like they want to go and then spend $70 on a game that may shadow drop into Game Pass a month or two later? Maybe not. Maybe not. Hustle.
That's never really the draw of the Game Pass. If you think about it, the draw of the Game Pass and the reason why people even talk about it or debate about it isn't like games like Remnant 2 or whether that Remnant 2 would be there at launch. It's the first party content. And in regards to first party content, they to what Jack was talking about on PC, the PC platform, locking it down to the Xbox app and not like they tried that at one point and people wasn't buying the game. Now, of course, like this was back when a lot of the games they had weren't really all that great anyway. Like, State of Decay 2, Sea of Thieves with no content kind of time period. But Starfield wouldn't have sold the way it did and had the number of players that it did if it wasn't in Steam. And so at this point in time on PC, they have to allow those games to go to Steam. I don't think they, Merc, correct me if I'm wrong, their games don't go to Epic Game Store, right?
No, they do not.
All right. So like they understand the juggernaut that Steam is. And they allow it to go to Steam because if they don't, then they know how the PC platform is, the PC demographic, the community. Yeah. You don't put it on Steam, they've seen the reaction that Epic Game Store gets. Epic Game Store will give free good games, and PC gamers are still like, F you, I don't care. Epic, eat a dick. I'm not playing anything, buying anything over there. And it is what it is on that platform. I think they just what's going to improve Game Pass and what's going to improve subscriptions is consistency on quality, period. Like they got a whole bunch of games coming out with all these developers finally, and those games have to hit. It can't just be, Starfield was cool and then a bunch of Redfalls. It has to be Starfield was cool, Redfall never happens again, Hellblade 2 is good, Clockwork whatever the heck that in the Exile game is good, Avowed good. These games have to hit a certain level of quality where over time if you've trained gamers to wait on Game Pass, then you can also train them on Game Pass is this good because of the content that we provide, not necessarily the third party developers we convince to put their games on the platform. So it's really just got to come down to them delivering on the $100 billion they have invested on first party content since 2018.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And shout out to the great Fark Q out there. I love the name, man. It's great. I hope I answered the question for you. He says, I used to listen to you a long time. He goes, what happened? Why do you switch up? The thing about it is I just feel like the quality of games, and it goes to what Slow-Mo just said a second ago. He said the whole idea behind Game Pass was the first party games. And if you stop and look at the first party games that have gone in there, okay, and I'm not, listen, you guys know this. I say it all the time. I'm not a flight simulator guy. Okay, you guys know the games that I tweet out. I talk about the games that I even streamed on Twitch. I'm not going to play Pentiment. I'm not saying that those games aren't good, but that's just not my cup of tea. But then you look at the games that have come out, and they just have like Sea of Thieves, not really my bag, right? You've got games like Redfall, didn't really live up to it, right? Starfield, I played. Everyone's like, you got to play 100 hours. I didn't play 100 hours. I played 30 hours of it. It just didn't connect with me. I tried. I really did. So I try and I play on Xbox. I predominantly play a lot more of my Call of Duty games on Xbox right now. But I just, the like Slow-Mo said, that Game Pass lore, that one thing that's supposed to bring you in is that the quality, the fun of playing a game. And listen, fun is subjective, right? So if you guys are enjoying your time with Game Pass, I'm not here to talk you out of it. But to answer like Fark's question, like that's the main reason. I just find that there's just that lack of inconsistency and quality. And I mean, I hate it's such a short answer. Probably should do a whole show on just that, just to explain why. But I got a couple super chats, and then I promised One Trick Pony that I have a few other topics here for us tonight. Shout out also to the great Andy Hart. He says, next week's huge for PSVR 2, RE4, Arizona Sunshine 2. We're going to get into that. So I appreciate that super chat. Thanks, Andy Hart. The great Lord Metroid says, Nintendo doesn't need Xbox. Quite the opposite. Lord Metroid, a huge Nintendo fan. Appreciate him being here. Raji says, he's been a member for 9 months, by the way. He's in the house. Thank you. Raji, appreciate that, buddy. Thank you. PlayStation Studios are already competing with themselves. Not entirely sure that Xbox leaving the industry will affect how PlayStation Studios think. That's one thing that, Raji, I've been saying this in the chat. I don't agree with that. Xbox really can't leave. That competition is necessary. It keeps Sony's feet to the fire. So I really don't. That's not anything that I would ever advocate for at all.
It's also not really the studio side. It's in terms of the money side. So PlayStation, what they will charge for products, what they will charge for games, what they will charge for services. It's not really the studios. The studios will probably most likely still bang out amazing quality, but from the business side, in terms of the hardware pricing and everything, and what they can get away with policies, that's where we're going to be stung, because they'll know we've got no other option. We've got no other alternative. You either pay up or you leave. And how many of us are going to leave gaming?
A shout out to Raji, comes back again, Nib. He says, we appreciate BRAP, but man, PC gaming is probably the least intuitive platform to play on. Bless your heart for advertising it. Glad to not be in that. Shout out to Raji, not a big PC fan there, I guess.
That's unfortunate.
When has he been playing on PC? Back in like 2002? Like what is he talking about? At least in two. All right, whatever. I guess if you don't know how to plug it into the wall, then this might be problematic.
Some of us have money and others don't, so that's what it is.
Oh, crap. Well, now slow-mo.
I wasn't trying to go there.
I'm gonna go there. Listen, I'm gonna go there. Some of us
have a standard. Some of us have
$85,000 SUVs, and others don't. And some of us have $100 in our bed, like Jack moved. So it is what it is.
That was definitely more than $100. Like Jack, you need
that was about 100. Yeah, that was about 100. That was about 100.
Jack, that was more than 100.
Listen, BRAP's going with the monetary number. Gamers, when it comes to PC, they love to say, "Oh, it's too hard. I don't know what I'm doing." Gamers are the only group of people that when they talk about PC, it's okay to be dumb. They're okay with being called dumb. Nah, man, come on. With Steam, big picture mode, I mean, it's essentially almost a console experience.
Yeah, more or less.
Well, I got news for you. Slow-Mo's super chat comes into play here. He says, "BRAP's had more margaritas than I've had Red Bulls." So shout out to the great Slow-Mo here defending.
That's not true, actually. That's not true.
That's
how many have you had?
I had one beer.
I think he was drinking White Claw, to be honest with you.
Oh,
I was not having White Claw.
Eric, the hits.
Hold on. You went to happy hour and had one beer? Lies.
I had like a lot of wings, 12 wings.
Oh. Hopefully they were hot.
Okay, so and then you had one beer.
Yeah. They're very spicy.
Shut up, Enrique.
You're racist against Spanish people.
Okay, see, this is how you know. This is how you know you're drunk, right?
Right.
No, I'm not drunk.
Enrique's like, I like my wings spicy and my Mike's Hard Lemonade cold. Let's go.
Exactly. Thank you, E. E knows me.
Listen, so I'm going to go ahead and ask Hustle this. Hustle, this is, so I promised a few people, and I'd like to get, we have some really other meaningful topics to get to tonight. So the Game Awards, sticking with Xbox, but changing the subject slightly here. The Game Awards are next week, and Xbox says they're going to have a big presence there. So my question to you, Hustle, is do you think they're going to have a big presence? And B, what do you expect them to show next week at the Game Awards? Because, I mean, Xbox has definitely made a statement saying we're going to be there because they got hit pretty hard last year with having nothing shown. What are they going to show this? Are you expecting games, hardware, and if so, what of each?
Okay, so if they say that they're going to be there, especially after last year, I definitely think they are going to be there. I think Hellblade 2 should have some type of showing.
Are we going to see gameplay, or are we going to see their location in Greenland?
No. I feel like they're going to show gameplay at this point because that game was announced in what 2020, right?
2019.
2019. Yeah. So I definitely think we see gameplay, and we probably get a release date for that. Avowed to be another one that'll just be like, hey, we're working on this. You probably won't get a date for that. They'll probably show some Call of Duty stuff as well, but I definitely think that they will have a much larger presence than last year because they really weren't there. But I think that they step up.
No, they had 20 Game Pass ads.
Oh man! I wanted to answer that question.
Also, of all things, I wanted you to say I'm disappointed in you.
What me? What Gear 6? Merc?
Hey, Gears Collection and Gears 6. That's what I want to see there.
So Gears Collection has been rumored for quite some time. They probably won't say nothing about Gears 6 in particular because isn't the Coalition working on a new project? I might be wrong, and I don't want to deviate too much.
Hustle, how about a Hive Busters like sequel?
I feel like that's another short one.
Hey, Hustle, I feel like the way Hive Busters ended, I feel like there could be like a sequel to that because
Hive Busters was good
for sure. Oh no, they definitely those three characters. Shout out to Merc and Ericus for the one that actually we streamed the whole thing together. They need a spinoff. But I'll say that I thought the Coalition was working on something new. That's why I kind of didn't mention Gears at first. But I mean, it would be nice to see something with the Gears trilogy because a lot of people have been clamoring for that. Real quick, as far as Xbox promoting Game Pass, they better put that shit on the back of fucking Oreo boxes and Reese's cups and all that if they want to get them numbers back up because that'll be the only way they can get that at that point.
The funny thing is, I see Game Pass adverts in the UK everywhere. I went into Greg's the other day. There was Game Pass on the fucking menu.
Is that a grocery store or something?
That sounds like 7-Eleven.
Is that a McDonald's step? What is that?
No, Greg's is like the most.
Is that like the food porn you post?
No, they sell like pasties and sandwiches and stuff. It's like the working man's like.
It's like a bodega.
It's like a pastry, you know, like cheese and onion.
So not the food porn you post then.
No, I do like
Starbucks or something. But is it like really like commercialized?
It is commercialized, but it's actually like a
almost like Wawa.
Treasure. It's a national treasure because it's really cheap. It's like it doesn't go with inflation, so you can get
make you horny.
No,
it's like £2 for a pastry. It's really good value. It's really good value.
I don't think anyone believes BRAP had one beer. I'll tell you that much right now.
Absolutely not.
I'm just saying, like he's British. I'm like, does it make you horny? I'm sorry, I don't know.
BRAP
you're drunk and horny. What's going on?
Yeah, BRAP's definitely went BRAP. You went to Clyde's and you had a good old time. But
whoa! By the way, Clyde's, big shout out to DMV. By the way, I love that.
Oh, indeed, and that's a really nice the
bar
restaurant.
I love hustle.
The finish up, that's all good. But the finish up though, honestly, the God's honest truth, they won't announce new hardware. Y'all remember those core documents that came out when it was the Activision deal when they announced everything? Yep. They won't announce if they do announce new hardware. It'll be that discless Xbox One X, but they won't announce no new hardware. The new thing that they have apparently, according to them, is going to come out in 2028 along with the PS6 and whatever else will be out.
With all these discounts with Xbox, you would figure they're trying to get rid of inventory.
Yeah, Mark, that's where I was going to go with this. What do we think? Is this a fire sale or a last ditch effort as we kind of get into possibly what we're going to see a new iteration of the Xbox Series X?
I think it's only Walmart though, right? That's
and Amazon.
All digital Series X, right?
Yes.
Yeah, no. Walmart has the Xbox Series X at $350 now.
It already ended.
New refresh is supposed to be like a all digital Series X. Isn't that what?
The refresh.
About?
That's what the refresh is supposed to be all digital. I just think they're clearing out inventory to be able to announce that.
That's what Mark was saying, basically, in Hustle, too. I could see that, but to be honest with you, the price point would have to stay the same, right? Me and Jack were just talking back and forth about how they're having a hard time with console sales. So when it comes down to it, at the end of the day, they wouldn't really be... I don't see Xbox coming out with a Pro version. I don't. I know Phil said that they didn't have any news on it at that time. They unveiled the S and the X at once. the X seemingly being the Pro. That's fine. Because right now, if they're taking their 12 teraflop machine and lowering it to $350, which is, by the way, on and off, it's not. I don't think it's permanently $350 through the month of December. I think it's at certain times.
That's a great deal. I think that's a great deal, by the way.
That's a great deal.
I think it's a great deal, by the way.
Well, it is a great deal, but the thing is, though, if at $499 the Series X wasn't moving, I don't know how Phil would pitch that we want to now have a stronger box out there that's going to cost $500 or $600. I don't know if that would move the needle.
We can't do it on power.
That's right, E. That's right.
Those leaked documents weren't saying that it was going to be a more powerful Xbox. It was just saying it was going to be like diskless.
Right.
Like so maybe with like more storage or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah,
go ahead.
Yeah, Rand said it was going to be two terabytes, all digital unit. It was going up to 2 terabytes.
Yeah,
I don't know. It's not a more powerful system.
No.
No.
So, Merc, is the best place to experience Xbox on PC?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I just want to double check.
Nowadays, throwing an extra terabyte into a machine, and if that one, that the diskless one, is going to still be $499, I mean, you can get, using the PlayStation is probably a bad example, but one terabyte just on Black Friday this past week. 1 terabyte internal that you can pop in there real quick. It takes a few minutes if you're not afraid of the screwdriver. I saw them for $69, $79.
Yeah.
So that's not necessarily throwing the extra terabyte.
Dirt cheap now.
It's cheap now, so that's not necessarily a great sales pitch. And then also losing the disc player is also not necessarily a great sales pitch.
You're right, Mooch. But when the average person walks into GameStop to go buy an Xbox and they say, "Oh, it's 2 terabytes now," mentally they can justify the $499 price point.
Some will.
Absolutely. They can. Absolutely.
Yeah.
No, I can.
Because
see
what's external storage on the Series X right now? Like the expansion card. That's got to be at least $150.
No, I think it's cheaper now. I think it's like below.
Yeah, it's not that much cheaper though. It's like it's like 130, 125, something like that. It should be cheaper. It's proprietary. So,
but if you listen to Slow-Mo, there's a better option for that.
Yeah, you just delete your game. I was about to say that. Just delete your games. Like, I don't know why these digital hoarders out here. Every game I buy, I have to have installed on something. Y'all got 16 terabyte hard drives with games.
Maybe they've
No. You delete the Xbox and get a PC. That's what you do.
Hey, Slow-Mo,
digital hoarders are on PC too. I'm telling you, just delete your game. You don't need all this extra storage. For games y'all don't play.
You ain't wrong. Like your voice is in my mind when I'm on Steam. By the way, like I'm like I pull up my Steam account. I'm like Slow-Mo's voice is in my head. I'm like I delete everything that I'm not playing.
There you go, Slow-Mo. You're in his mind 24/7.
I've converted. I've converted at least one person. So my mission.
You got to convert Forte. Thank you.
Hey, Slow-Mo's doing God's work out here, as you should.
He really is.
Yeah, Slow-Mo. Thank you, by the way.
So I got it. So Jack, let me ask you this, Jack, because I want to get it for your perspective on this. So they are going to be making a presence there. They kind of got hit hard. Xbox got hit hard last year. I'll ask the question for Xbox, and I'll ask the question for PlayStation as well. Jack, what do you got to see from Xbox? Hardware, software, what of each? And then for PlayStation as well, do you think that they're going to have a presence of some sort of a carbon footprint, if you will, at next week's Game Awards?
I pray both of them show up because they both need to, get off their asses, if you ask me. Yep. As far as Microsoft, man, we got to see Hellblade 2, and I don't even want to see gameplay. Just give me a goddamn release date, man. It's been 4 years.
We gotta see gameplay. Yeah. We gotta see gameplay, Jack.
Why? PC, Jack?
I just need a release date, man. At this point,
if I see Senua talking to herself one more time, I'm gonna start talking to myself.
Why is that bad, Slow-Mo? Why is that bad?
Hold up. Where Jack's playing this game? Where are you playing this game at, Jack?
I got to play it on PC. I played the first one on PlayStation.
Hey, go on ahead. Let him know one more time, Jack.
I got to play it on PC. I ain't proud of the shit, Burke. I ain't proud of it.
There you go. Hey, I just like the ring of that.
Jack, is that the definitive version to play this game?
Hey, I don't know nothing about all that. Hey, y'all not finna get me up promoting those PCs.
I'm just asking. That's all.
It might be, man. It might be.
So higher
Jack,
frames.
Jack, you
higher
ever
frames,
notice the PC dudes always need company? They're like, come on,
They
man.
do.
What's wrong with you?
They do.
What people over.
Come on home, Jack. It's okay,
I
brother.
always
It's okay.
say, Eric,
You-
I
you
have
know-
never tried to
low
convert
key.
you, Eric.
Hey, low key in a couple years from
No,
now,
my problem, it runs
Jack's gonna
Windows,
go
that's my
full on
problem.
PC, 3 monitors. He's gonna be talking about
I mean,
165 hertz.
listen.
I see it.
I mean, with the trajectory of these companies, I mean, clearly that's what they want us to do, right? I mean, shit.
Yeah.
oh
I mean-
man, Jack, you on one today? There you go. Keep it
There
going.
you
Keep it
there you
going.
go.
Well, so Jack,
Hey,
you've
hey,
been,
but
Jack,
to Jack's point about Hellblade, they gotta show Hellblade 2.
No, they don't.
Even apparently it was rated in like Korea or India or something. So maybe
No,
maybe they
New
are
Ze-
about to
New
show
Zealand,
something.
New Zealand.
New
I didn't
Zealand,
even
whatever.
see that.
yeah, I
didn't see
saw
that.
it. Yep.
Well,
Yep.
look, they got to show Hellblade 2. They
No, they
better
don't.
show
No, they
combat.
don't.
Yes, they have to show
No, they don't.
combat.
No,
They
I
have
don't agree
shown
with that.
Senua walking around and talking
I
to
don't- I
herself
don't
3
agree with
times.
that.
Like
over.
Mooch said, if they show up with a studio tour or something, I'm gonna lose my mind.
Man,
Yo,
I
I do
can't take
not
it.
want to see what Iceland looks like in February or some crap. Like I don't care. I don't care. Like what's the combat look like? What we have
Slow-mo-
seen this
but
game.
Slow-mo, can't
Enrique,
they-
can you pause?
Well,
Enrique, pause.
Okay, go.
No, look. They showed this game first when they showed the Xbox Series X, which
That's
has
right.
now been out for 3 years.
Mhm.
And what do we know about Hellblade 2 really?
It looks
We
good.
have no idea what is going on. We have
It looks
zero idea what the story's about, what she's going through. I guess she had another mental breakdown or something. I don't know. We don't know.
Oh, come on, man.
And the only combat we've seen is she threw a spear and ran for her life.
But does it look good?
What's going on? It looked great.
Okay,
but
so
I gotta play
It
it.
looked great.
But if
But I have to play it.
If they show more, great, right? And they save it for E3.
No.
No.
Isn't this supposed to come out like early next year or mid next year or something? You
just saying,
can't
like-
save that for E3.
Why?
Because E3 don't exist for one.
Yeah, but
Right.
that's
That's
right.
right.
How about
Thank
that?
you, Eric.
Yeah, there's that, right? You
Thank
save
you,
it for
Eric.
nothing.
That's right.
But no, like you can't say the show in the middle of the year. It's the same thing that we said about like what was it like? Remember, was it like Gears 5 back in the day? Like they didn't actually show like actual gameplay of Gears 5 until like 2 months before it launched or something. Like you can't wait that long to show gameplay. No, we got to see that earlier. So like if you're going to have Hellblade 2 there,
Mhm.
either show combat or you just tuck that thing back in the catalog and wait until and they can actually show that. And at this point, I mean, because like, look, this is Ninja Theory.
So,
Right.
so
You
what do you want to
expect
see
them
from
to be great
gameplay?
at
though?
combat?
Like
I want to see.
Does it be
I wanna
like
see
5
depth
minutes,
with
2
the
minutes? Like,
combat.
what do you want to see?
I need at least 30 seconds of unedited actual combat of
That's
single
not a lot, by the way.
with a weapon.
It's
Hey,
more
that's
than what
enough
we've
for me.
got. You
So-
know?
so-
It's more
all
than
right.
what we got.
So if she's teabagging someone.
We got
that's good.
throwing the spear.
and then running
So
and then
she's-
running
she's
backwards.
teabagging someone. She's good.
Teabagging someone with what?
Like a hammer or something.
No, you know what? I'm not going to say.
You said 30 seconds. I'm just saying 30 seconds.
But hold on.
I mean-
Here's what I'll say. And my fault, Slow-Mo. I don't know if we'll get to it today, but
Go ahead.
you know, Grand Theft Auto 6 trailer about to drop. They can give you Hellblade can give you 30 seconds of a whatever combat scenario that they can give you. Yo, they announced it in 2019. Like, bruh,
Yeah.
they're gonna have an announced date too. Because I mentioned it before. I'll mention it again. They're gonna give you an announced date too. If they don't, man, that's the biggest L. I want to see
See-
Perfect Dark too. I didn't mention that, but I want
only gameplay though, that would piss me off. That would really piss me off. I would be more satisfied with them just showing a fucking blank screen and with the release date. If they show gameplay and no release date, they could have kept this shit at home.
Yeah, that's
bro.
a good
Hey,
point, Jack.
you know they finna announce that shit. Ain't it rumored to come out early next year or something like
Bro,
that, or like in the middle of next year?
rumor.
It's
Yeah,
been
that's
4
rumor.
years, man. That is crazy, bro.
Hey, Jack, I know.
But what
I
if they
know.
say? What if they show what Slow-Mo wants? The gameplay footage, and then later in the year they show more footage, and then that's the release date.
Yeah, but see, Brap, what you're saying is fine if this wasn't from 2019. They've been showing this for so long. At this point,
Yeah, but
it's
but,
funny
Mooch,
what
but
Jack
games
said,
take a long time to create. From what?
but they were
I've
working
been
on
told.
it before. They were when did the first Hellblade come out? 2017,
2017,
2017, yeah.
So they've been working,
Yeah.
even if it was at a slow pace because they were, indie developers and a small team working
I mean,
on it.
like 4 or 5 years for like a AAA game.
That thing better have a release date.
I think it should have a release date. I think a release date would be I think Jack, it's funny because Jack, when you first said that, I was like, wait, and then I was like, well, that actually holds water. So we know what we're basically getting with this. You're going to get more like looking puzzles, and you're going to get some, hopefully they improved the combat from the first one. The story was already killer. That was awesome. I think they could build on that. So the release date really is the moving factor on that game. You know, I mean, Avowed is probably the other one that they're talking about for a late, I think that's a late 24. I don't think we're getting a release date on Avowed. But that should be something that they showed. The last time that showed, it didn't get good reviews at all from people that saw it. They thought it was kind of a downgrade from what it was first presented. So,
well, I mean, Mooch, you should have complained because it's coming on Game Pass. So,
well, yeah, you can't. You're not allowed to. That is true. But Jack,
Slow-mo.
Oh, go ahead, Nib.
Yeah, I was just going to say slow-mo. What if, because we do a lot of like, we as a community, myself included, we do this thing where we have preconceived expectations, right? What if what they've shown of Hellblade, and the reason they've shown similar stuff over and over is because that is actually the focus of the game, and there's going to be barely any combat at all? What if it's more art house? What if it's more, emotional?
Because that sounds like that would be actually less combat than the first game. Like when the first game, it was in the first half, it was very, very puzzle heavy, and then like you have your combat sections, and then in the last half, it was a lot more combat. But like what you're suggesting seems to be even less combat than that.
I would like that.
I mean, for me, I enjoyed Hellblade 1, but I kind of felt I thought the puzzle sucked. I did like the story. I like the visuals. Yes, the puzzles are awful. And then like some of the times you'd be standing in the right position, and the game just doesn't recognize that I need to go like a half inch to the left, and Senua has to like dip her shoulder or something for it to finally recognize I got in the right spot. It was dumb. I thought the puzzles were kind of whack.
I thought the puzzle with like those.
The combat I thought was decent, but there was no depth to it, and she only had one weapon, it's like she's fighting the same three the same three paralysis demons the whole time. It's just like can we get some variety? That's what I'm kind of looking for. I don't want it to be like Devil May Cry or something where she's just like flying around, or like Heavenly Sword where she's just. I'm not expecting that. That's not what I want. But I just kind of want an improvement off of a good foundation that they built with the first game. That's what I'm looking for. And so that's why when I don't see combat at all, and I'm just like, well, what's good with that? Like, what's happening?
See, the reason I mention it is because the first game, if you go back to the first reveal trailer, they actually show gameplay and puzzle and other mechanics just in the first trailer, whereas now we've had like 3 different snippets, including like studio stuff and everything, and there hasn't really been any of that shown. That they showed the first game in the first trailer. So I'm just wondering, is maybe this game actually has a different focus altogether, and maybe what we're expecting.
You could be right. I'm just kind of like, that's not what I'm looking for, and other people could be like, hey, that's right down my alley. I'm down for that, and I'm not knocking anyone's personal opinion on it and what they're looking for. Just for me personally, that'd be a disappointment.
Yeah, so I think that like what Slow-Mo is saying is what's great about like the conversation around video games. Like I actually liked the puzzle elements in Hellblade 1, and so I would like to see more of that. And like with the how they implement the audio to it, and so I thought it was good.
That was very well done.
Yeah, I saw people saying, "Oh, I didn't like the puzzle elements." I actually liked it. I thought it was pretty good, but
for the team that was there and the team that assembled it, I thought it was outstanding. To be honest with you, the money. They had,
for what their budget was, which was almost nothing, and they had their own in-house performance capture and.
Slow-Mo, you make like a good 25 point,
people. That's excellent work.
You do make a good point, though. I would expect that we have to see now that they have endless sums of money. They built that new studio for them. The motion cap is supposed to be that much, but I'm expecting an unbelievable leap forward. I'm not looking for something that's a little better. If Hellblade 2 comes out and you go, it was good, but it was a little bit better, I think that's kind of an L in a sense, because this really should catapult them. I think with the money and resources and the talent they have, they should really put something together, and I'm expecting something quite big from Hellblade 2.
Is that fair though? Put that pressure on them though? I've always wondered.
It is. It is crap. That's everything though, right? You we always talk. You said the same thing with sports earlier. You go out there and you spend money for a big superstar player on your team. There's a lot of pressure when you show up to, whether it's baseball, you show up to at bat. You know what I mean? You go from like a smaller team to New York team. All of a sudden, all the cameras are on you, but you're making that $35 to $45 million contract per year. Yeah, this is the same thing. They're in the limelight. You know, they were like, hey, we're a little indie studio. This is what we do. This is our capability. Like us. And we're like, we do. And now we're like, now we know you're part of a
100% fair, BRAP. Because, I mean, you know, there are those who have been like high on Ninja Theory before they got acquired. Once they got acquired and people started hitting the wiki, they started saying, oh, they're a pretty capable studio. And can you imagine them like now with, you know, Microsoft funding behind them and what they can do? And like, you know, Slow-Mo said, you know, they have their own capture studio and the whole nine. So, and it's been years. So, yeah, there is a certain pedigree that comes with them that should be expected. And like Slow-Mo said, if it's pretty much almost the same thing as like the first one, like Mooch said, that'll be the same.
Yeah, I mean, the first one is a smaller project with 20-something people, right? This is This is going to be a 7-year project with hundreds of people on it, and probably, you know, maybe 100 million plus like investment. So it definitely has to be way more than the first game. Just going by the numbers alone, like I'd be surprised. Like, you know, I don't think it's unfair expectations to expect it to be a lot more than the first game. Personally,
yeah, don't let Brad pull you down, man. Those blue ribbons got him trying to be contrary.
Hey, come on, man, come on.
So wait,
Slow-Mo told me to say this, by the way.
So I want to go back to Jack. Jack, the second part of the question was, what do you expect to see from PlayStation? And Jack, the one thing that you've been saying, and it's one of the reasons I always encourage people, go follow Jack on Twitter, X, because like the one thing that Jack says over and over again is whenever something comes out or any kind of rumor of PlayStation, he's like, I better see some new IP. I better see some new games. So Jack, I'm with you on that. And for everybody in the chat, it's like, you guys never give any kind of hell to PlayStation. Well, here it is. You know, I think time. It's definitely time. Not necessarily saying I need a release date next week, but we need to see something, Jack. I mean, you've been saying that for a minute. Do you agree?
Absolutely. Speaking of new IP, Sony has released one new IP this generation, that being Returnal, which they acquired them at the beginning of the generation. So they definitely need some new IP. We getting rumors, which they kind of been confirmed. We're getting a Horizon MMO. We're getting a Horizon Monster Hunter style game. There's a Horizon RPG. What? Not RPG. Just too much shit, man. I'm tired of seeing Horizon. I love Horizon personally. I'm tired of seeing it. Okay. What are we getting announced from PlayStation? At this point, man, like I said, I'm just praying for any news, man. We're not getting Factions 2 updates, which is what I'm most anticipated. Let me think. I truly do not. Sadly, right? This is sad we dealing with this. Is Insomniac going to announce a new game? We got to depend on them to save PlayStation every chance they get. They already working on Wolverine, which ain't coming out next year.
No.
Jack, I swear one more person throw Wolverine up.
Every time, man. Every time.
Hey, Jack.
Hey, what's up, yo?
Hey, Hey, Jack, I think with the Insomniac, if they do announce anything, it'll be that new game plus for Spider-Man 2, if anything, right?
Maybe.
They'll announce what's that? Last of Us Part 2, the remake, or not remake, or the director's cut.
Oh, another trailer file.
They'll probably do that because I think that comes up February, if I'm not.
Yeah, they got leaked, and they got leaked. They were probably saving it for that Game Awards, right? Yeah. So they got leaked. They probably reintroducing that.
January 9th. I think it's January 19th for the remaster. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I reckon they announce Death Stranding 2.
We already seen that though. You think a release?
Yeah, but I reckon we'll see. I reckon we'll release date and maybe a longer trailer.
Okay, that'll be cool. I played the first. I beat the first one.
I'm okay. Like it's funny. Like I might be the minority here, but I don't care so much what Sony first party announces. Like I know they have stuff that they're working on. And I know that if you listen to some of the commentary like Jim Ryan said about Sony PlayStation, like they are kind of leveraging third party or second party agreements to create exclusive content. And this is kind of like what they've done or what they did with the PlayStation 2. So I think what we're seeing is a combination of the PlayStation 2 and PlayStation 3 when they started really focusing on first party content. So I think it's a combination of the two, both console generations for the PlayStation 5. So, I don't have as much worry about what PlayStation 5 isn't doing. I think that PlayStation 5 actually has done a really good job at delivering first-party content that actually speaks to what Sony sold the PlayStation 5 hardware as, like haptic feedback, the SSD and, quick loading times and stuff like that in video games, and so I'm not as worried, but I mean,
I don't think.
So you mentioned.
Ahead,
you mentioned second party, that they've got a lot like in the works that could be coming out next year, because Lost Solar Side, Stellar Blade, Rise of the Ronin, these are all actually
we are
Sony
not
published.
Lost Solar Side, man.
Do not mention Lost Solar Side. I've made like 5 videos on that game. I got,
but that's coming though.
Like in 2015. Ain't that 2015?
Exactly. Yeah, right. Let me tell you the titles of those videos. Is Lost Soul Side coming out in 2021? When is that? No one can rely on Yang Bing and his team to get that game out. 2024. I will believe it when it's released.
Concord by Firesprite, they posted on the blog that it's coming in 2024. So presumably we'll see more of that as well. Like they do have these games that have 2024 TBA, but like it may obviously not be the case. But yeah, I reckon Stellar Blade is definitely going to be 2024.
But you know what's interesting, Nib? Like a lot of people don't talk about it as much as we're critical for PlayStation, like not giving us like updates on first party, and I get it. Like they really did spoil us.
Yeah,
but there's a lot of partnerships. Like Shuei was in India with the India Hero Project. We know about Somo, and I mentioned this on BRAP this past Wednesday. Like you've done a really good job covering the China Hero Project with PlayStation.
Yeah,
they are really leveraging a lot of studios overseas in different locations for content. So I'm curious to see what that looks like in the future.
Yeah,
and given go ahead, Nib.
They've got some real like amazing looking titles from the China Hero Project stuff. Like obviously I don't know when it's going to come out, but like Phantom Blade, Daba, Land of War, Executioners, like these games look like really good, like Unreal 5 games. So I don't know obviously how they'll actually look and run or when they'll release, but from the stuff they've shown, there's some real quality stuff like being made, at least visually.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. And look, I've always liked to focus on like the smaller projects that have that potential, but what I also have to recognize is that as always when you're working with second parties, like the level of quality isn't as they're not able to kind of control how that level of quality is like it is with a first party studio that you actually own, and so it's like. It may vary, and you may get like a diamond in the rough.
Like you look at you look at Housemarque's what's it called? What's a Housemarque game before they came first party? Returnal, yeah, that was a second party game. You look at when they did the game with From Software, Demon's Souls,
Death Stranding.
Yeah, Death Stranding. Yeah, so I don't agree with that per se.
Well, I mean, I think Death Stranding's ass, but that's just me. I know some of y'all love it. I'm not judging. Well, I am kind of judging y'all taste, but no, I'm not really judging y'all like that. I'm just saying I think that game kind of sucks.
Well, the one thing that
fine. Look.
You also made a point.
All I'm saying is that you don't own the studio, so like it's not like a studio that you kind of built up with your own culture, and it may vary. The quality may vary.
Well, the quality can vary, but you still have next year. You still have the possibility of seeing Stellar Blade, which now Stellar Blade, much like the games that were just BRAP went over, you've got that partnership. Pardon me, with Shift Up. That looks like that'll probably remain on PlayStation exclusively. Then you also have Rise of the Ronin, which, like a lot of the other games that Team Ninja's made, is also probably going to stay exclusive to Sony, or at least for a long period of time. So these second-party deals are actually holding a little bit more weight as we move forward. Sony's looking at they can't just do these one-year deals for the games. They're going to have to solidify some of these games, and it looks like that's what they're doing with some of these partnerships.
Yeah, they're actually publishing them, so they're fully funding these games now. So I don't think they will actually come to other platforms. I mean, besides PC, obviously. But yeah, I think that's the difference, because I think in the past they would have these deals, but they would still be published by other publishers. Usually different regions, different publishers. But here it's Sony Interactive Entertainment is publishing it around the world.
Yeah, and the one thing, actually, it's funny. Beat Muddy actually mentioned this on BRAP this past weekend, which goes live every Wednesday night at 9 p.m. Eastern time.
Oh, nice plug. Nice plug. Yeah.
So this past week, actually, Beat Muddy said this is like, you know what, like games are getting very expensive to develop. And he's like, there's a reason why somebody's going to like India or China with the China Air Project to get video games, because the labor costs to develop those big like AAA games is cheaper. And
if you're not paying the to keep the lights on for the studio, that's a cost that you don't have to worry about. Yeah.
So they're nurturing those relationships, and that is very like PlayStation 2 behavior. If you think about the PlayStation 2 days back in the days where there wasn't a lot of like first party titles, like if you think about like what titles like really defined the PlayStation 2 console, a lot of it was like third party, second party stuff, and so that's kind of what I think at least they're working on building, is that these big partnerships with other studios in other parts of the world that could deliver great content for the PlayStation 5 platform.
So I got a question for the great Eric Jackson. Eric, this is where I got to get your take. Shout out to was it Omega Slasher Buster? I don't know. It's a very long name, but nonetheless, he says Hi-Fi Rush and Starfield KO'd from the player's choice vote. So Eric, he says the Xbox tax is not real. Because right? I mean, Eric, what does that mean? How come the two big games that everybody said that they were going to vote for, and it's the system that's against Xbox, but this was the player's choice. It got knocked out. It didn't make round 2. E, what do you think about that?
So he's saying that the Xbox tax is real. That's why
it's not. No, he's saying it's not real.
Oh, because it's
it is real.
BRAP with the. What do you think, E?
Honestly, man, I didn't play through all of Starfield. Like I was kind of like you. Like I got it to a certain point. And I was like, Bethesda just doesn't hit for me. But I don't understand. Like I think Hi-Fi Rush should definitely be in more conversations. To be honest with you, like
yeah,
where I saw where in the game of the year where Nintendo got 2, and I'm not knocking Mario Wonder, but I felt like that could have been a slot. For Hi-Fi Rush.
I agree. I think Hi-Fi Rush, at least for the player's choice, though, right? I mean, it didn't even make the round 2. That I thought was interesting. Starfield, believe it or not, I know everyone made Starfield out to be this game of the generation. You guys know, everybody that's in the chat, you guys are all here every week. I said this before the game came out. Me and BRAP had many conversations. BRAP was a big fan of it. I was not. It looked like Fallout in space. And I never cared for Fallout.
Sometimes there's room for a game to just be good. But
absolutely,
shout out to listening, to WWP with Jack and BG and everything. BG says this all the time, and it's like, and I said the same thing. I said I don't know if Starfield will live up to the weight that people are putting on it. Oh, and I said unfair weight. Like it can't skip leg day. Remember that, Slow-Mo? We were talking about like it can't skip leg day, right? And these dudes are so desperate for a clapback, so desperate for the wins. Like they put up, it's the game of the generation. It's like, how you calling that game? It's been out for a day. Yeah. Like you just put hands on it. You're already saying game of the generation. Sometimes it's okay for a game to just be awesome and be good and be great and perfect for you.
That's right.
But let's keep it a buck. I'm not the biggest Bethesda proper fan. I like Bethesda Softworks, but in a world where other developers have taken what Bethesda presented over 10 years ago and have run with it, Bethesda looks like they're behind the ball in a lot of ways. When I'm looking at NPCs and looking at characters who have dead eyes and they're staring at me like a kid who stole a sandwich, I'm like, this looks off. I'm not saying it can't still be a good game. You can't still get around it. I play some crappy games. I'm like, yo, people hate this game, but I still like it. It's fire. But I'm just saying, when you have a story developer, you expect a little bit more. And their game feels a little bit antiquated when you play it. And it's kind of like, what's going on here? All the way the encumbrance system works and the way the game. And again, it doesn't mean that it's not good, but it's being unfair to put all that weight on it.
Yeah, it's a good game. I beat it. Took me about 75 hours or whatever. But look, and when it comes to Starfield, I always say this: it's the best Bethesda game I've ever played. But I also hate Bethesda games, so that's not saying too much. It's like, if you're a F student and you finally get a C, well, congratulations. This is the best grade you had. As far in my book, I know there's some people that love them. I thought the gunplay is the best they've ever had, which is probably a majority of the reason why I was able to finish it. But I thought the faction quest lines are extremely well done. The writing on those side of the content, excellent. If you're going to play Starfield, do all the faction quests and enjoy yourself. people out here doing I'm building bases. I'm like, I don't know why you playing this game to do stuff that's implemented way better in other games and explained way better in other games. The main quest line, straight up, they copied a lot from Mass Effect 1. Just keep it a buck, but it's still, I mean, like if you're gonna copy from a great game, copy from a great game. You're inspired by it. That's great. It's a good game, but it's the overhype of it. I agree with E. It was overhyped before it even came out. When people are putting it in their predictions of the game of the year conversation before it even launched, you're already telling me what you think about the game and what you expect from the game that you haven't even played yet. You can't like not play a game and be like, it deserves to be in the game of the year conversation. Respectfully, you off your rocker.
Yeah.
So just, it is what it is. Like people had these expectations for the game that it is kind of unfair to Bethesda for them to have to live up to, because this was a game that was in development before they got acquired by Xbox, and a lot of the guys that were hyping this game up and with the green pom poms and the mini skirts and doing the little choreographed dances at the Game of the Year awards for it were dudes who didn't even like Bethesda games 5 years ago.
Yep.
So miss me with it's an Xbox tax.
Right.
Nah.
Yeah, they
It's
didn't
just
care.
not
A
that
lot of
good
them didn't
this
care
year.
for that type of game prior, right? And that's it. I didn't care for that type of game prior. So that I said that earlier, and that's it. Like I don't know. For some reason, I think it was just a game that was blown out of proportion. The Game Awards are going to make a big splash though next week. I think for sure. Every year, Keighley seemingly gets more and more viewers to join in. And real quick, just going to you guys, if you don't want to shout it out. Anybody have any idea? Because I do want to get to the next topic. Next topic's really good. Jack, real quick, who's going to win Game of the Year award?
Oh my God. Shit. I'm gonna say Baldur's Gate.
Okay. Now, did you play, Jack, or no?
No, I didn't play.
Yeah,
I
me
watched a
neither,
couple of videos. I ain't play it.
Mm-mm. No,
That's a Zeitgeist game, Mooch. That's why you don't have to play it. It's a Zeitgeist game. It's just too big.
Yeah, that's I think 300 hours to get halfway through it. I don't know about that. I don't got time.
I didn't play about it, but I'm
know
with
that's-
Jack.
I know
I think that's the one that's going to win it.
I think that's.
I agree, Jack.
I agree.
It's got too much hype around it. Too much.
It's the media darling, man.
fanfare.
Nah,
It's the
it
media
is
darling.
It's phenomenal, though. It's phenomenal. It's
I will-
literally.
Nib, how many
I
hours
will
you got
tell you,
into
it's not a game for me. That I can tell you, but I could see it winning though.
Nib, what do you got? How many hours you got into it, Nib?
About 65, I reckon.
Oh my
65.
God, you're still at
Wow.
the prologue.
Yeah. I assume, yeah. But the thing is,
Zelda's going to win, yo. Oh, go ahead.
But we were talking about antiquated, and I again, don't hate me, all the Xbox fans, but I played. So I beat Starfield, and then I played Phantom Liberty, and then I moved straight on to. Well, I did a few indie games, and then I moved on to Baldur's Gate, right?
Mm-hmm.
But playing Phantom Liberty and Baldur's Gate after Starfield, it really does bring certain things into light, because it just in terms of like characterization, animation, writing, story, and just the way people move and interact. And Baldur's Gate, like God knows how many lines of dialogue that has, and how many branching storylines, and this, that, everything fucking interconnects. You have, sorry, I don't know if swearing is allowed,
That's all right,
but you
go
have
ahead.
so many different. You have so many. Yeah, so many interconnecting and branching, like side stories and all this other stuff, and literally unlimited amounts of dialogue, and yet the characterization and the movements, and it's just a lot more convincing and believable, and just little things like, in Starfield, a lot of the times it's kind of like a fixed camera, and the characters they like move their head a little bit, but they're not that animated, besides the very small micro movements. But in Baldur's Gate, like, they'll use their hands, they'll use their whole bodies, they'll pace up and down, and just little things. And even in Cyberpunk Phantom Liberty, like, I posted this clip, one of the gameplay clips. It's like a police, you think it's a police officer, he comes up to your car, but it's actually like one of your people in disguise.
Mm-hmm.
But the way he puts his hat down on the car, he leans into
I remember
the window.
that part.
Yeah, and I just like really amazing attention to detail that does immerse you. And
did you also catch how a civilian was walking close to the car, and he put his gun behind his back so the civilian couldn't see it, and kind of like clocked the civilian until the civilian got out of like range?
Wow, I didn't even notice that.
it was
Yeah.
real spy kind of like you could definitely tell the character is Idris Elba. You could definitely tell Idris Elba was like actually mocapping that, and he was in his acting bag. It was great. Family.
Yeah, so I posted like a video, like a comparison, right? But it was like up and down, and because I remember when he was walking, and this is sad, I know, but I'm a big Idris fan. Like when he was walking in the game in one scene, and I clipped it, I was like, oh shit, that's literally his walk from that I've seen in loads of movies. Like that's his walk. He's got a certain type of lean. He's got a certain type of posture, and I found a video of him walking in exactly the same angle and exactly the same frame, and I like put them back to back, and sure enough, like you could tell it was like perfectly mocapped, and it's just that little attention to detail. It's like we're in 2023 now, like it's a long time from when Skyrim and Fallout and all these games came out, and I think generally gamers as a whole have higher expectations as well. And just to touch on the Starfield thing, I didn't think it was gonna get too high in the user voting, because if you look at like Steam reviews, if you look at Xbox Store reviews, I think it's sitting at 7 out of 10 on Steam and 3.4 on Xbox, right? And as far as I know, Steam is purchase confirmed. So it seems like even the wider public outside of our little like Twitter sphere hasn't resonated as much as maybe some of the fandom make out.
Yeah, it's funny hearing you guys and I mean this in a positive way, gush over Baldur's Gate 3. It's like Jack said, it's not really my type of game, and I know I probably will not get around to it. I was thinking I was going to get around to it, and I was like, I saw people playing it, and like you just said, Nib, you've commented it multiple times on social media, and you're 65 hours in. I mean, it's. I know people that are well over 200 hours and they haven't finished it yet, and that's because of just the amount of detail and the depth behind the game. It just sucks to be able to watch. You're going to be watching next week, watching the award ceremony. It's more than likely going to Baldur's Gate 3, and here we are, a situation where that's going to be one of the first times in a while where I haven't even experienced the game. Shout out to the great game with Persona. He says, big shout out to Mooch in the panel. Persona, if you're still here too in the chat, let me know. I told everybody that you guys are going to be doing a What's Up PlayStation tomorrow. If you guys are not doing it tomorrow, let me know. I'll let everybody know when you guys are going to be doing it again in December. Shout out to Magnum Gaming. He says, do you think GT6 will show the power of the PS5 Pro when they show it? So a lot of people have been saying that they think the timing would work out, and we don't know any of this till maybe even next week, which I don't even know if next week will be a release date. Probably not. People are thinking that the PS5 Pro will be paired in a bundle, whatever, whether it's in a bundle or not. I don't think personally you're going to see it show off the PS5 Pro's power in any kind of. I think Rockstar's got their hands full. I don't think they're worried about making Sony look good. So I don't know, unless they have something going on that we don't know behind the scenes. If you guys know anything about that, I don't know. Everyone's putting that as a 1 + 1 = 2, and I don't know if that's necessarily true. I'm not running with that story. Shout out to the great Andy Hardy. Says, does anyone on the panel know anything about Silent Hill 2 remake is doing, how it's doing, and how it's expected next year? Well, we did see something from the Bloober team that said that I know that they put out one of those heartfelt developer. We're working really hard on this. You'll know more about it next year. As far as I know, Silent Hill 2 has either been moved to 24 or has been announced for 24. I don't think it's going farther than that, but I don't know. Does anybody on the panel have anything to say about Silent Hill 2?
I don't know. I don't know anything, but but the tone of that message made me kind of feel like it might be beyond 2024.
Oh, really? You got that feeling? Okay.
It just because the way they were like, hey, we appreciate all the people looking into it and wanting to know more. Development is progressing. It didn't seem like, hey, we're going to be letting you know a release date real soon. Like it didn't seem like that to me.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. Like it just seemed very vague. So it could be late. It could be late next year. It could be early 2025. I don't know.
Bloober team is making that game though, right?
Yes.
Yep.
But what happened to Konami developers? Like what the? They ain't got no more devs. Or what's going on with that?
Well, Konami has some involvement with it. Didn't Konami, wasn't that part of that stream they did? They did a large stream and they said that Bloober team was working on it. Are they working?
Yeah, that's their IP, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. That's a great question. Jack, it seems like everything with Konami's been, they're either selling their IP or leasing it out, or I don't know. I don't know why they're not doing anything internally anymore. I've noticed that myself.
Yeah, man.
I think it was.
I remember when Kojima left, like half his studio of his new studio are former developers from Konami. So I know they lost a significant number of people to Kojima, but they still should have had like enough to like still make games. I don't know, but maybe it's been so long and just like, you know, over the course of time, people just slowly left.
But they are the ones remastering. They remastering MGS3 though, right? Is that them? Like they actually doing
I have no idea.
I don't know. I don't know they're doing
that. That's weird. That's weird.
It is.
Yeah.
No, definitely. Shout out to Dark Lord. He just tweeted me on Twitter and everybody on the panel too. It's Silent Hill 2. He's got it pre-ordered. It says 12/31/24, but that's a holding spot.
Yeah, it's a whole spot.
That's a holding spot time frame there. So I don't know if necessarily that's going to be a date to go with. Victory says, Mooch, you got to get X Vault Gaming on here. And you know, honestly, I apologize. You wrote that I think 3 weeks ago, but then after the Thanksgiving break, I haven't. I will do my due diligence, see if I can reach out to him, Victor. You've been asking for quite some time. Just taking a look here because there's just so much stuff to talk about, and I just want to make sure I get one of the topics here. So let's talk about the PlayStation partnership real quick with NCSoft. And Slow-Mo, the reason I go to you here is the MMO factor here, right? With NCSoft, they're the ones, and Jack had mentioned it earlier as well. They're going to be the ones that are responsible for what will be, I believe, the Horizon MMO. Is that correct?
I have.
Jack, well, I was asking you or Slow-Mo because you guys had mentioned the Horizon Forbidden West MMO that was rumored.
Oh yeah,
Is that something that's working in conjunction with NCSoft? That partnership?
Yes. It's almost a year to the date. That rumor came out almost a year to the day. Last year that they were working with them on a Horizon MMO, and they just signed a deal the other day. So yeah, I would have just got to assume that that's what that is, right?
Yeah, because that was the big announcement this week that a lot of, when you hear something like NCSoft and the deal that they have there and the deal that they have with Shift Up, which I believe is that a big South Korean developing team?
Not really. They're like
are they up and coming or
like Shift Up did mobile games before this. Okay. Although like they got a lot of talent but they're not as big as some other like Korean studios. Some Korean studios that have like 800, 1,000 developers. They're more like when I first did research on them some years back, they had like 100 developers at that time, and they were working on 2 different games at the same time. So it wasn't like 100 devs working on one game. It was like maybe like split 50-50. But to go back to NCSoft, I don't know if you guys saw this. Probably the worst name ever for a game. Project Triple L is a it's an MMO looter shooter, and it was kind of it was shown before, but I guess people really started to like focus on it, and a lot of YouTubers started to really really dig into it because of the partnership with PlayStation. But that's coming out next year. Probably like maybe the first half of next year, but it looks like a mix of like The Division and Destiny and maybe like Anthem, like all mixed together. So, and I think that I don't know if that's timed exclusive. Actually, I think it's multi-plat, but it might have a marketing deal with PlayStation. But NCSoft definitely does a lot of like MMO kind of stuff. So that would be for PlayStation. That would be kind of like a market that they don't really like as far as the demographic goes. They don't really have. Mm-hmm. So I think that's a good gift for them.
Yeah, it's funny. After the whole ABK thing went down, everyone was expecting Sony to make a big splash. I don't know. Don't get me wrong. It takes time to make these deals happen, as we all know too well. So I think these are bigger moves behind the scene. But for me, I won't speak for you guys on the panel. But for me, I'm still waiting for that one big splash. People were saying Sony's going to be buying up certain things, making deals with certain people, but it may not be the big splashes that we all see Microsoft doing, right? Nothing like $8 billion deals. It's certainly not a $70 billion deal. So that's going to be something interesting. I know there was always rumors about CD Projekt Red before things were going on. Who knows if that's ever going to come to fruition or happen down the road. Not sure if that's even fits in their wheelhouse. But, I got to be honest with you. So, Nib, I know you got into a lot of conversations with people about this. I got to ask you real quick. So our buddy Jim Ryan, he's still cutting deals. I thought he was fired. I thought he was kicked out, Nib. So that's what I was told.
I always said right at the beginning, no, he's not fired because the transitional period is too diplomatic and too kind. Like I think he stayed on for 7 months, right, when they announced the retirement, and on top of that, like he has done interviews just a year and a half ago where kind of the writing was on the wall because he was basically saying like. I'm paraphrasing, but he was saying that the travel is taking a toll on him, and that he's essentially I think he described it as like in a constant state of fog and grumpiness because he can't handle all the travel. Obviously, his family lives in the UK, and I get it when people hear these like more personal things. They're like, "Oh bollocks," you know. It's CEO, and CEOs do talk rubbish all the time, but that seemed more candid because it was like a UK paper. It was like closer, more personal interview. And then obviously they announced this, and he's still doing the 7-month interim CEO where he's still signing deals. He's still, he's going to want to leave on a high legacy. I don't think it's the case that he's just been ousted and hence the transitional period. So I really don't know why people thought it was a firing, because when you do get fired, you don't tend to be given the reins for another 7 months and have this much responsibility per se. This just seems par for the course.
I think the motherfucker got fired. I'm gonna be honest with you, dog.
Why do you think that?
Now, I'm gonna preface what I'm saying by saying this. At the end of the day, I just don't like Jim Ryan. Even if he didn't get fired, this scenario I'm running with. But I do have reasons why I feel this way, right? I gotta point to other examples, right? Sean Layden. A lot of people would say Sean Layden was forced out, quote unquote fired. It was an abrupt announcement. According to David Jaffe, which has inside information, he was escorted out of the building, right? He himself has said he hasn't outright directly said he was fired. He probably signed an NDA. I know a lot of people don't know what those are in this community. But he goes right. He goes on. If you look at his likes on Twitter, any tweet that even implies that he was ousted, out, fired, done incorrect, he's liking those tweets, right? He don't gotta like those tweets if there's no truth to them, right? So, and it's funny because I ended up looking it up the other day. I didn't even know this, but a few months ago, he said that the reason he left Sony was because he was tired, exhausted. It's a little bit too. Oh, you tired too, huh? That's crazy. Phil Spencer been in charge of Xbox for a decade. That motherfucker ain't never. He like Kevin Gates. He ain't never tired, right?
He's a masochist.
What's the other guy? Bobby Kotick. Right now, Bobby Kotick. I feel like you could argue Activision would have never been for sale if it wasn't for Bobby Kotick and him being directly or indirectly involved with people committing suicide, overt sexual harassment, a toxic work culture. They had according to reports, they had a Bill Cosby shrine in their goddamn office. So listen, if that guy ain't fired, then listen, I don't know. See, I heard you on Space the other day, Nib. You said you didn't think he was fired either. So if he didn't get fired, Jim Ryan didn't get fired. I can agree with you on that one, but I feel like he did get pushed out, bro.
So Jim Ryan, he did clarify that in the interview he did, which was basically he was saying one of the major differences between working for Sony as the head honcho is their headquarters is United States and Japan, right? So it's not the same where if you're an American company and you live in America and your family's in America, whereas he lives in the UK, the headquarters are in the United States and in Japan. So it's like a three-way thing, and he's constantly flying to Japan and then to America and then to the UK. Now, obviously, look, it could be bollocks, but I'm just saying based on the way things have transpired, I don't think it is. And on top of that, why do you get fired? You get fired for poor performance, but maybe from the Twitter kind of armchair analytics viewpoint, we might be like, oh, they haven't announced us enough, this and that, cat's out on the mat. But in terms of every tangible, real metric, whether it's like revenue growth, whether it's hardware sales, whether it's increasing your market share, whether it's all these like actual solid metrics, PlayStation are doing arguably the best they've ever done, right? That's true. So really from a business perspective, there's not really much to much to criticize. He's making the money.
This is what I say about Jim Ryan too. Now, I always say, as much as I dislike that guy and what he's done to the PlayStation brand, in my opinion, I can never argue his business acumen, right? He fired with the business side of things. He's a businessman, but if you're a consumer, He done fucked you off. Respect. It's just crazy, right? And this is another thing, though, Nib, right? I'm pretty sure the 12 live service games that he spearheaded himself, them having to tell investors that, half of these games may never come out and are possibly canceled. I don't see how that conversation went over well. And it's ironic, the minute he announces that he's stepping down, quote unquote, they delay half the games. They announce other games that they money had it are in trouble. So a lot of these announcements aligning with him saying he's quote unquote stepping down, and none of them are positive besides this little NC Soft situation. It just looks spooky to me, Nib. You see where I'm coming from, brother?
Yeah, when you put those puzzle pieces together, it does kind of look suspicious. The only thing, Jack, everything you said is kind of gospel. The only thing I wonder is at the end of the day, if me and you, Jack, are in charge of any kind of corporation like that size, and we know that we're going to make sure this man is on his way out, I'm not letting him go to any photo ops. I'm not letting this man sign another document, because at that point in time, we've already separated ways. There may be a time, right? That's where like there's a lot of confusion here, because what you said holds water. But then I see this guy now. Granted, he was in a Hanes t-shirt. Okay, which I don't know.
Yeah, straight out of bed. You see him, right? Suit. Yeah, he was
Hey, look, I got the solution here. Look, Jim Ryan is suffering from dementia. He is sick. They had to retire him because the man showing up. Look, he showed up to work with a wrinkled white tee, some sweatpants, and flip flops to do a signing.
You think they pulled him out of care to get that photo up? That's crazy.
Yeah, man. They were just like, hey Jim, hey, what's up? This is we just need you to sign this. He don't even know what's going on. What am I signing? What's up? He's like, all right, y'all said it'll be food here. Yes, we're gonna feed you later. Don't worry about that. Just sign.
That's crazy.
That man's sick, man. I don't get it. Like, you showed up. You knew this was gonna be on camera, right? You knew they were gonna take pictures. This is how you show up. Like, come on now. That can't be that. We can say whatever we want about Jim Ryan. I liked him. I love. I hate him. He made money. So what? Where the content at? That man showed up in a wrinkled white t-shirt to take pictures with a CEO of another company.
Not even like he was fired when you were under your dress shirt.
Yeah, sweat stains and everything. It's just like, what?
Yeah, I don't know.
What are we doing here?
I got a question about Tanea, specifically about Jim Ryan, right? I put out a poll on Twitter. Now, I ain't got the biggest following, but I put out a poll. I said, in regards to Jim Ryan, it was 3 options. It was, I'm glad he's gone, I wish he'd stay, or I don't care, right? And 90% of the vote was split between I don't care and I'm glad he's gone. So that means it might even be less than that. Less than 10% of the people that voted said they wish he would stay. So I'm just trying to figure out, where is this? It's a level of capitry around this whole Jim Ryan departure that I don't know where it's coming from, but because clearly we might disagree on why he leaving, or if he got. There's one thing we all can agree on. Don't nobody want this motherfucker to stay. So it's like, where is the love coming from? Y'all not showing it, man. I don't get it. What's going on, man?
I saw that. I saw
with what I find with the Twitter community, right, is they like people who talk to them and are personable, right?
Yes,
they're not looking at the business side. That they want someone who speaks to them, who can relate to them, and if they do niceties and speak to the community and respond.
That's true. That is true.
Yeah, and he's not that. He's never been that. I'm pretty sure he's a bit of a social recluse. Like, he doesn't seem that confident around the camera, but he has done a lot of PlayStation. Like, PlayStation's biggest market is Europe, and he's the one who took them to Europe and made them massive in Europe. And obviously, as a UK person, like, I have felt the ramifications of that more. But so I think that it's true, from a business side, he's really savvy, but from the personal side, he's not that. He doesn't know that. He probably doesn't even like being on camera, which is why they let him out of the dungeon and he's in his white tee.
I'll just piggyback off that, Nib. In all honesty, to back that up, you make a good point. People want, according to Jack's poll too, they want that person that's going to end up, they want to have someone that's personable, right? So my whole point with this is this: the last person that was with PlayStation that was personable was probably Jack Trenton, because right now, everyone always says Sean Layden, right? They're like, oh, Sean Layden was, but if you think about it, Sean really kind of got a lot more in touch and in tune with the community when he wasn't with PlayStation anymore.
Yep, exactly.
So even Sean was kind of quiet. No one was rooting him on either. Jack Trenton was a man of the people.
People hate on Layden, like after he took over and it wasn't Trenton. They're like, "Oh, this is not Jack Trenton."
I didn't like him at first.
Right.
He proved me wrong though. He proved me wrong.
Me too. Absolutely. I agree with that, Jack. But honestly, Jack Trenton was like, he's like somebody just roll up and be like, buy people bourbons at the bar and be like, yo, you know what I mean? Just shoot the breeze with you. And I think that's the thing. And I think now you have what Phil Spencer is to a lot of people in the Xbox community, and people are like, you know, Jim Ryan, he's nowhere near that. He's not. I think Nip said it best. He doesn't even like being on camera. Like the whole thing is very, you know. So, and I don't even think who's going to replace him is going to be
Mooch,
somebody that becomes a fan favorite right away either.
I always go back to this, like at the end of the day, like it's about deliverables. Like I don't care who is the head of a company. For me, it's about deliverables. Are you delivering or not?
Yep. That is what it comes down to. And if you think,
I actually don't give a toss if they go on camera. Say, in fact, sometimes when they speak too much and they communicate too much and always want to say the right thing, I find that more not unappealing, but you know, like, why are you trying to sell me? Let the product do the selling, right? And I know everyone's different; it's fine. But me personally, like, if I buy a product, I want the product to speak for itself, really, because I'm buying these consoles to play games, to enjoy good cadence of releases, quality of releases. I don't really actually care what they have to say. In fact, I always take what all these CEOs say with a bunch of skepticism, right? Because they're in the business of making money, whereas I'm in the business of playing fun content. So I agree with you, BRAP. Definitely deliverables above all.
Yeah, I don't know where like this like CEO fan thing came in, like where dudes look at CEOs like,
I blame Steve Jobs for that.
They characters now, man. They characters, bro.
Like, but yeah, like, for real,
I blame Steve Jobs. You're an Apple fan. I blame Steve Jobs for that.
I'm an Apple consumer. Apple's on a lot of fuck shit a lot of times, and I'm like, I use them because that's part of what I do for, you know, in what I do for work. You know, that's what I use. But no, I'm all day long. I slander Apple all day. But I'm not sitting here like, oh my God, I wasn't trying to jump in the coffin when Steve was gone. I was like, that sucks, you know, as a human and empathy and everything like that. But when he was alive, I was like, yo, that's cool stuff. But I also know that dude was a tyrant.
Yep.
You know, there's a lot of revisionist history around Steve Jobs.
Yeah, you almost got you almost have to have that mindset though, E, when you're running something that big, right? You know, that's the one thing that I think Nip said.
You can't care what everyone has to say or think. You have to be like some level of narcissist.
I mean, E, to your point, Steve Jobs tried to sue Android for form factor of a phone. Like, that's crazy. If you think about it.
He was trying
the maniacal side, man.
Yep, every angle he could get, he went for it. You know what I mean? And that's
to be fair, they tried to sue Samsung. And Samsung absolutely did copy the very first iPhone, which, if you look at the history of Samsung, they have a history of copying.
No.
Yes, it's very true. They have a history or going all the way back to the 70s,
but
to a long time ago.
Form factor?
Look. They have a history. They do it. Samsung does it in the TV scene as well. You're not listening. They have a history of doing that and copying someone's design, knowing that by the time they get go to court and they get filed for it, they were found guilty of it. They would have already made a ton of money off of it, and whatever fine they have to pay is negligible.
But he was suing them over form factor.
Yeah, you can do if you have something patent. Yeah, you can sue them over it.
No form factor.
But if you got you can patent a form
shape of the phone. And
boy, Enrique, you are the king of derail, boy.
Steve Jobs actually had Apple create other images of cell phones, like square cell phones.
Whoa! Stop, Enrique. Slow-mo, you know this win here because all Enrique did was mention that I like Apple products, and I answered that, and now he's ready to go on a tangent about Steve.
No. What I'm saying is that
we're going
Enrique, it's 9 o'clock. It's 9 o'clock. We're not on a tangent about Steve Jobs. All I was saying is I don't understand where people have this super fandom of CEOs. I listen to what they say, but I could care less what they have to say because I'm a consumer of a product. And this is the thing I don't understand is when people they get in their cat bag where it's like, well, you should be quiet and stop saying this and stop saying it. No, they're not giving me anything. Like, I pay for these products.
Eric,
I don't. Quick. Yeah, so it's like, no, this isn't charity at all. You know what I'm saying? So I don't understand the process or the thing that happened when you have to be a fan of the whole company because you're a fan of a product. Like, I'm a fan of PlayStation, I'm a fan of Xbox. I don't give a damn about other stuff that they do. Yeah,
I feel like
who's ready to rip your head off if you say something about if you talk about Xbox, I gotta defend I have to defend Windows now.
Right.
Walkman was the bomb. I can't believe you can't slander Walkman. It's like, they don't even make that shit anymore. You know what I'm saying? You got dudes that'll give you the whole history of every product Sony made because they like PlayStation. It's like, man, shut up.
I'll keep this extremely quick. I think people became a fan of like certain CEOs. Do y'all remember around the time where G4 was out and they first started showing like E3? And we first started seeing like Peter Moore's, and we first started seeing all this for the very first time. It was around that time, and then Twitter kind of came shortly thereafter. I think it was around that time. We saw different. We saw like CEOs, I guess, or like these figures in like a different light. We thought a lot of them was entertaining, like a Jack Trin, Peter Moore,
and I like Peter Moore.
What have you. I think
I like Peter Moore.
Yeah, but I think that's where a lot of that stuff kind of originates from anyway. Because like when you see people for the first time, say, "Oh, damn, this one seems relatable," and I kind of wanted to keep that real short. But I think
that's true because I respect the things that they do, and and as a fan of gaming and the things that they're involved with, I'm a fan on that level. But dudes take this stuff to where they're like Taylor Swift fans and Beyonce fans, where they calling, they like you see like a Beyonce fan, they see like her daughter on stage. Look at my niece.
Yeah, that's wild to me.
People do the same thing with like Phil, and they do the same thing. It's like they take it like to this different area where it's almost like stalker like level stuff, and it's like really weird. It's like that's still at the end of the day, Phil Spencer and Jim Ryan have self-preservation. They make a very good salary for what they do, so they are going to say and do the things to preserve what they have.
There was that Snap guy who did a Happy Father's Day to Phil Spencer.
And people. And when that got called out, people were going off like, "Well, you can't be, you can't be nice. You can't. No, you can be nice, but if you are saying that, I'm actually friends with this person, then hit them up on a text."
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It's like, why do you have to broadcast it to the world that you're doing it? That's the cap engagement level of Twitter.
Yep.
That's all that is. And then when it gets called out, it's weirdo behavior.
Right. The negative aspect of that is that when these CEOs, they're not perfect, but they don't deliver in certain areas of their job, and people ask for more. You have these cheerleaders for these CEOs demanding that you not say certain things, or saying that, they should never replace this CEO, when clearly that CEO is not able to take them to the next level. Like, great that this guy or woman did such amazing things years ago and kept the brand alive, blah, 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 blah. But if they show that they are incapable of taking it further, we need better content, and you seem to not be able to deliver on better content. Or if you're maybe a great numbers guy, but your management of first party studios is abysmal. You have taken us to a certain point where we thank you for your service, but we need someone else to take us to keep going forward, to keep progressing. And you have these capologists out here, these people who are literally like they are fan clubs of these CEOs, and they're just like, no, you could never do that. And I'm like, I'm glad you don't run anything in these corporations, because nothing will ever progress, because you're fine with everything.
Yep.
Yeah.
No matter how good or bad it is, you're fine with it.
They acquiesce to everything. If you literally go from 2013 to now, and you did like a historical timeline of everything, dudes change their mind based off of everything that a company tells them.
Hey, you know what's funny? Like,
not what's good for them. That's why I laugh now at dudes who are like, and Mooch, you remember this too? Like, dudes were all about the box. I'm using Xbox as the example. This isn't me slamming the box. It's all about the box. And now it's like, they're still making money. It's about, options and being able to play anywhere and do everything. And
the box is gone
now.
You're
doing this at the detriment of what you said you wanted 5 short years ago.
Yep.
Now that's different, because they're saying, no, we need to be everywhere, and you don't spend $70 billion to just keep your games in one place. What the hell are y'all talking about?
Yeah.
See, the funny thing is, in terms of flip-flopping, like, because now Xbox is going to get a lot more I don't want us to use the term, but like let's just use the term that a lot of those fans said. They're walking simulator type games, right? There's going to be a lot more exposition in these sort of RPGs and Hellblade. And on the PlayStation side, they're going to get more of these live service and multiplayer games. You know, so it's like now like they're pushing the thing that they were slandering before. You know,
Trying to mimic
It's funny as hell. They switch. It's Freaky Friday, and I said this before. If Phil went to PlayStation and Jim came to Xbox, they would pick up the flag and cheer for them.
That's right. 100%.
They would literally switch positions and defend that person. Larry Herb just learned a very good lesson that loyalty means nothing because he went out and complimented PlayStation. They were dragging his ass.
Oh yeah,
it was on him, boy. I saw
and
that.
Larry's a made man. Larry is mafia made as far as Team Green goes. Like he literally was Team Green and buoyed that thing and moved it up. And even he was he's not there no more, so he can get this smoke.
Right, it's like take your white gloves and shove them up. I'm just like, good grief, like, you love this man.
But it's funny though. It's like a lot of the and I'm not trying to pick on the Xbox community, but I kind of am. But it's funny. Like they will say, games everywhere. It's great, and all of them play on console. And I'm like, if you're not playing those games on TV and mobile, why do you care about that? And that's kind of weird to me. Like,
exactly.
If you don't care about, playing games on a handheld device or on a Samsung TV, why are you propping this up? If your focus is playing games on console,
Enrique.
That's what you should be focusing
for the kingdom.
on.
Exactly. Every time. Bro, it's just like when I complain about something or I got a disdain for some people. Well, they're making the most profit ever, Jack. Moving. I'm like, brother, you eating ramen noodles for dinner? Why the fuck do you that benefit you? Like, the fuck? Then they talk about games they ain't playing on Gran Turismo in the VR. You got a VR headset? No, I don't. Then they talking about all this other shit. Did you read this? Can you read? Like, bro, I be getting sick of it. Bro, this shit is crazy, bro. What's wrong with people, man? What's wrong with him?
Yo, he's so right. Yo, Jack. Well, I got you.
Hey, Jack, are you seeing the funny commercial?
Slow-mo, Slow-mo, thanks for being here tonight. I was going to hit one more topic up, but Slow-mo, thank you, man. Let people know about DPS before you bounce real quick, please.
Oh, absolutely. Damage Per Second podcast. Last night we had a great show, Gaming Forte. You couldn't make it tonight, but check out the show on his channel. We had a good time. Next week will be on my channel as well as the DPS, the separate DPS channel. We do a dual stream on Thursday nights, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So you guys have a good one. Panel, you guys are awesome as usual. Oh God! What? What, Enrique? What?
No. We got to hustle it. Can we get like a DMV podcast one night? Seriously.
Ooh, okay.
There's a lot of DMV.
We can do a DMV podcast. I'm down with that.
Eric, you did it again. Eric,
let's do it.
All right, I'm out, guys.
I'll see you later.
Peace.
All right,
brother.
While I got Jack,
I gotta run.
No problem. I appreciate you being here too, man. I know I kept you guys over the 2-hour mark.
No.
One more topic in, and I gotta get Jack was just on a rant right now. I wanted to get Jack on this one real quick, but I appreciate you being here, man. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me, man. Great panel. Love chopping up with you guys, and let them have it, Jack.
You already know. Thanks for being here. I appreciate it.
All right, guys.
Jack, real quick, gotta ask you because listen. As you can see from the gameplay, like I've played The Last of Us a million times. I'm gonna be the sucker that pays the $10. That's fine, and I'm gonna get The Last of Us 2 remastered for the $10 upgrade. I don't mind doing all that, especially with that survival mode and other things that are coming with it, the lost stories. But Jack, there's a lot of slander right now with the whole Naughty Dog thing, and the reason I'm coming to you with this is they just asked Neil Druckmann recently about factions, Last of Us 3, new projects, and he was like, no comment, right? So there's two ways to look at this, and I know that the reason I go to you, Jack, is I know you could be a Naughty Dog fan like me, and sometimes you could be pretty hard on Naughty Dog too. So where are you on this whole no comment from Neil? Is it one of those things where a lot of people are demanding Naughty Dog show something? But when we actually look at the calendar, Naughty Dog put out The Last of Us 2. I believe, and you guys correct me if I'm wrong. Last of Us 2 came out in 2020. It is the end of 2023. There are other big teams out there on both sides, other PlayStation studios and Xbox. I mean, heck, even some Nintendo people are still wondering where Metroid is, right? So not Metroid, pardon me. Metroid 4, right? Am I right on saying that?
No, Metroid Prime 5.
Is it Prime
Metroid
5?
Prime 4.
Prime 4.
Oh, is it
Prime
4?
4.
I thought it was 5.
It's 4.
It's
So
4.
Jack,
4, yeah.
really, when it comes down
Thank
to
you.
when you hear Neil say no comment, I'm only going to talk about The Last of Us Remastered right now. Where are you on this? Are you going to kind of, get on Naughty Dog's back about this and being like, you guys got to start to commit to some gameplay, give us some dates, or are you like, no, let they've earned the right to let them cook?
Well, this has come from somebody. I am an avid Naughty Dog and Last of Us fan. I played Last of Us Factions for on and off for 8 years. I got numerous video streams. You can check it out. This is my problem with Neil. Because it's convenient he don't have a comment right now, right? The last time I remember Neil not speaking up when he should have is at the Summer Games Fest when they announced Last of Us 1 Remastered, and Jeff Keighley said out of his mouth, I can't wait to play The Last of Us Remastered. It's going to be like The Last of Us, but it's going to play identical or almost just like The Last of Us Part 2. And instead of saying, hold on, whoa there, brother, we have made improvements, we've learned things from the team, I think you're going to enjoy the vision we coming out with. He didn't say anything. And it led people to believe that it was going to have dodge and prone, which it didn't have any of that, right? It's crazy. People were speculating on what story elements they was going to add, what cutscenes they were going to add. They're going to add Abby in this part. But then when they announced it wasn't going to have anything new, no new controls, people said, well, what'd you expect? How could you ever expect? You were just asking what they're going to have new story cutscenes. But anyway, I digress. That's neither here nor there. But another thing people assumed was that The Last of Us Part 2 was going to include Factions 2 online. And they waited till The Last of Us Day of 2019 to say, well, it ain't going to have online. That was a point of contention. But people have been waiting on this since 2020, since the game came out. And after they announced it wasn't going to have online, a lot of the devs that work on the game that I follow, we assure you it smells great in the kitchen. Let us cook. We assure you everything is great. Cool, right?
Right.
Going back to last year, that presentation, they also showed The Last of Us Factions. They showed a JPEG. He also said, Neil himself said, we cannot wait. We cannot wait to show you and speak more to y'all next year about this game. They said that in 2022.
Yes, they did.
Next year is right now.
Right.
They haven't said anything else about the game. What's going on, bro? That's it. What's going on?
They got 3.5 weeks to start talking. So, I'm with you. That's the one thing I would say. He did come out even earlier this year, Jack, and said he was going to mention something in 2023 by the end of this year. And here we are. So, I got to tell you, as much as I am that Naughty Dog fan like you are too, here's what I'm saying. I don't mind the fact that they need time. No one's asking them to hurry up, but we are asking them to speak up. You know what I mean? That's the one thing I kind of got to say about it. It's like, if you need more time to make the game, who the hell am I to tell you to hurry up? No, nothing. As a matter of fact, if I'm going to give you $70, take your time, make it great. But you should show or say something. Last of Us Day that they do every, what is that? Is that every September, October? I don't even remember anymore.
September, yeah.
Every 26, I think.
Thank you, Hustle. I appreciate that. Like, in all honesty, my excitement for that day is 0 to none. You know what I mean? Because it's like you get scratch and sniff stickers or something. I don't know what they're giving away. Like, nobody cares. They don't even do a good shirt. They don't even do a good, you know what I mean? Like, there's nothing. It's not a good hat out there I can buy. It's nothing. So I'm like,
the Mets.
Yeah, something like that. We'll find out. We're gonna find out.
Mooch,
soon.
the thing
Go
is,
ahead.
when you merchandise, right? That actually even pisses me off even more because it's cynical. It's like you're just trying to make money off of this instead of giving. Look, again, I'm like you, right? Look, fair enough. Like 2020, Last of Us 2 came out. Like Naughty Dog are actually my favorite developer, full stop, alongside Rockstar, right?
Yes.
So, but I have so many tweets complaining about them in recent months because the thing is, I feel like they're slightly taking advantage of people's fandom.
Extremely.
Yeah, at the end of the day, look, yes, I understand your games especially take a long time to make, but just give us a little bit of insight. Like if you are, what's going on with Factions, you can be open, you can show us the development, how it's coming along, or whatever else you're working on. But it's just been radio silent, and more than the radio silence, the only information that has really come out is negative stuff, like Factions and development issues. This lead is leaving, or that lead is leaving. Like what the hell? Like this is the opposite of building hope, or building not hope, but building what's the word, hype. Like it's the complete opposite. So I just think and more than that, as much as I love the Last of Us show, it's like I know he helped code, he actually directed I think 1 or 2 episodes,
yes,
and he was there for production, right, and writing. But it's like, bro, you got time to do all of that. We're gamers first and foremost, so you need to remember to give some on the gaming side of things, right? Like not just the TV and HBO side of things.
Hey, Mooch. Yeah, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Jack.
Oh yeah, I was just gonna piggyback on what Neil was saying. This Last of Us Day stuff, bro, is getting borderline disrespectful. You know what I mean? And I'm not trying to be, entitled or nothing, but to preface your Last of Us, the celebration of the game, by putting out a statement saying we're not going to talk about no games coming out, we're not going to talk about no update. Why do you think we celebrate? We're celebrating a video game.
Yes.
You cannot keep doing. You can't sell me a fucking $85 flannel shirt every year, man. I'm getting sick of it, bro. A fucking flask. I don't drink alcohol, man. What I'm doing with that? A pencil pouch with Elliot. What the fuck? Hey, yo, what is up with this shit, man? Where are the games? I don't want.
Jack said,
let me calm down.
Jack, it sounds like the Grizzlies.
Yo, Jack said, I'm not buying. I'm not buying a Joel Miller Warren flannel. I'm sorry, I don't care about it. Yo,
it's getting ridiculous, man.
Yeah. So I
100%.
I got a different perspective. Like I love Naughty Dog as a developer. I think they're super talented. I mean, they are really great at what they do. But I also don't care. To me, it's like, if they're working on something like based on their previous work, I'm like, you know what? Whatever they're gonna do is probably gonna be great.
But don't you want them to show you something though, BRAP? They don't have to tell you. It doesn't have to come out tomorrow.
I would like to, but at the same time, there's so many games I'm playing right now.
Yeah.
There's so many games. Third-party games, Sony first party, you think about like Ghost of Tsushima can't have a sucker punch. Like, no one saw that coming. But there's so many games right now that are out. So many great games. Like, I'm playing Baldur's Gate 3, which is my game of the generation, by the way. To this point. My game of the generation. Yeah. It's amazing. I don't care. Like I'm playing Baldur's Gate 3. I'm not thinking about Naughty Dog. I understand like people who are fans of Naughty Dog and want to see. I get that, but I don't put that much stock into it. I just it'd be great if like Neil Druckmann could show us something, but I don't think that it's detrimental per se to the Sony PlayStation brand or that other. I think there could be a possibility where we see other studios step up that are Sony first-party studios or second-party studios they have agreements with that could probably do better than what Naughty Dog does. Now that
slow down.
I was just gonna say, Hustle. I know Hustle's a
fan. I don't know about that.
Could. I mean, look at Ghost of Tsushima for Sucker Punch. That came out of nowhere.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny too because I generally I'm one of the only people on the panel. It just so happens I got Jack and I got Hustle and I got Nib on the show, and I know we're all like big Naughty Dog fans. It's crazy, but like, no, I mean, BRAP, your point.
I love Naughty Dog.
I get your point. I get your point that we have games to play, but like, I said the same thing when a lot of Xbox guys were saying that when they had they had a bit of a dry spell there in 22, and they're like, well, we have a lot to play. We all have a lot to play. We all have a backlog that goes back years and years. I got it. You're not wrong. But I mean, again, I'm trying to actually play the middle of the road here for Naughty Dog and say, listen, I like your games. I don't mind that you need more time to make your game better or create what you're doing with your new IP or this and that, or maybe get factions out the door. But the point of the matter is that it'd be nice to hear something that when you go up to somebody after so many years and Neil's listen, even people in the chat right now that hate Naughty Dog and they don't buy PlayStation anything. He's kind of a superstar. He's big in the gaming industry and he's big now. He's doing Hollywood. So I mean, he's doing things. I get it, but I do think that there should be a little bit more communication. And no matter how small it is, BRAP. But I'm not taking away what you're saying because you have plenty to play and you're saying, okay, I don't need to know this tonight. I got it. I'm with you. But it would be nice to hear when you say no comment. And then what they've done with The Last of Us Day, it's been a bit. That's bland, is to put it nicely. So
that's all we want, though. All we want is a little communication, bro. That's it.
That's it.
Yeah, because the thing is, like, it is nice to know what you have to look forward to in the future, right? Like, at the end of the day, when you buy a console, you're not buying it just for the launch lineup. Really, you're not buying it for the launch lineup. Really and truly, you're predominantly buying it for what the years to come holds. And it's kind of like that even now. Yes, I'm playing Baldur's Gate 3, and I do agree, but fucking phenomenal. Oh, sorry again.
Okay.
So yeah, amazing. Like I am absolutely hooked. Like I haven't been this hooked in a game for a long time. But at the same time, at the back of my mind, I do want to know, what have I got to look forward to? What am I going to be playing in future? What are these, studios cooking up? And the weird thing is, Sony kind of made their mark on this type of thing where they would announce stuff quite early. Yeah. Maybe in the past they announced things too early. But weirdly, it's like, again, Xbox and PlayStation have kind of turned around, roles reversed. Now Xbox are announcing things like when we're 5 years old, and they'll release them when we're in a Zimmer frame, and PlayStation is going to announce things the day before that comes out. It's weird. It's like they've completely had a U-turn, and I just think both need to find this balance where, maybe like a year or two before you start dropping small hints, and then again we can have progress on what is coming, how these games are going to play, and it's just nice to have in the back of your head to look forward to.
Yeah, and that's all we're saying. A little bit more communication, Nib. I completely agree with that. I just wanted to get Jack. Jack was on a rant a second ago with his last comment. And I was like, I got to talk to him about this. I do want to say this much. Oh, go ahead, BRAP.
No, it's just I don't disagree with like Nib saying, but if I look at like Sony's like history as a console maker, like they've done good. So I don't like kind of like with Apple. We talked about Apple earlier. Like I don't have much concern with Sony because they've always delivered.
Yeah. Well, it's their bread and butter. Well, PlayStation's their bread and butter. Or
yeah, I mean, like you look at like what PlayStation did. Like they were in a bad situation like with the PlayStation 3, and they came back and actually won that generation in terms of sales.
Yeah.
And that was the first generation where they really focused on first party. And you look at like PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2, the success was, first party to extent, but it was really like a lot of second party content. So, for me, like I give them the benefit of the doubt, like I just kind of like I do with Apple when Apple talks about like releasing their next OS or their next like product that's going to be solid. Like I give them the benefit of the doubt, and so I just look at Sony that way too. So that's just.
No, and that's as far as the product itself goes, BRAP. Your statement, I understand what you're saying. You're saying I'm not concerned about the quality or what's going to be coming down the pipeline. Again, I'm just echoing what Jack's saying and what Nib's saying. Just the communication factor, just to step it up a little. You go up to somebody, they haven't shown anything in a minute, and they're like, no comment. Yeah, I mean, you know what I mean? It's Jack, you asked me.
You know what this is equivalent to?
Go ahead, Jack.
This is the equivalent of Starfield again. You remember when we were talking about Starfield put unneeded expectations on sales, game of the generation and all that? Naughty Dog is supposedly a top 3 developer, right? I think most of us can agree with that. They're top 3 developer. If not top 3, you got them in top 5. Absolutely. Right. So
they're definitely top 3, yeah.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So I feel like at this point there can be, and maybe that's why they're being quiet, but at the same time, I feel like this is just wrong on their part. You're right. They can't have no missteps, man. I feel like them being so quiet is one, in my opinion. If you're a real Naughty Dog fan, you'll understand that they got something going on that they, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
If it's some development issues, man, that little white picture with the red border ain't cutting no more, man. How much? What Dib say? I believe in goodwill too. They've earned a lot of it, but at this point, they acting like the Cowboys, right? Yeah, y'all won championships in the '90s.
The Cowboys. What
have you done? What have you done recently?
Yeah,
you know what I mean? You can't keep living off that past success, man. You got the shit to get off the pot eventually, man.
That's right.
That's how I look at it.
What I was going to say is, like, if the rumors and the stuff in the background was positive, then I would say yes, even less likely. But the problem is the actual rumors and the stories that we're hearing, it's actually negative, like development troubles with Factions 2, Bungie came in, this, that. Again, these aren't confirmed, but obviously they are aware of the rumors and what the community, even if it is a small circle and whatever it may be, just Crumbside. But these are the things that are getting reported, this is what so-and-so said, whatever, this could be happening behind the scenes.
Right.
And then we have these leads leading. So what I would say even from a marketing perspective, you want to get ahead of that, right? You want to present something that can realign the positivity. And I just think, just a little here and there, just a little crumb or an update or whatever would do a lot to curtail that negativity.
It's true, because what happened, Nib, I'm glad you brought that aspect up too. A lot of people now are just running with the silence, meaning they're having problems and this and that. And then the rumor mill picks up, and you know the way the media is, right? The media, and it doesn't matter what side of the coin you're talking about. The media is so dry. Anything that's even a nibble on the end of that like hook, right? They're gonna do it. And you know what's funny? We all follow the same media outlets, right? The minute one does it, it's just watch your watch. Just take a look down at your watch.
Yeah.
It's like 2 minutes later is the next one, and 3 minutes later is the next, and it's all quoting the same quote or the same article or the same person, and they all just mess. And it's funny, you know. Sometimes last is IGN. They'll get the biggest push.
Hey, Mooch.
But they get the latest push. But like, but I'm just saying, like, that's the thing. What happens with news, and it's just like, so I agree.
Really is,
what Nib's saying is if you just, and Jack's saying, if you just say something, you can avoid a lot of that nonsense that occurs. And even me on the show, you take something, you run with it, right? You do it. People do podcasts, they do videos. But if you're not communicating to people, then they have every right to kind of run with that because you're not telling them they're wrong. So, I mean, it's a different way to look at it. I got a couple super chats I fell behind on. This is when we were talking about the CEOs. Victory says, at BRAP, great point. They just simply fall in line. This is when we were talking about the different CEOs. Domino Zero says, thanks in advance for the Eagles win versus your Giants this year, buddy. Let me tell you something, Domino Zero. All right? You guys you're gonna have to deal with Tommy DeVito. All right?
Hey, Mooch, he beat us.
That's what I'm saying. Tommy DeVito. All right? You guys are in for a world of hurt. Probably not. But nonetheless.
Actually, they're going to win.
Of course the Eagles are going to win.
No, I'm saying the Giants are going to win.
The Giants? I don't think so. I mean, they'd have
Mooch, I'm calling it right now. I'm telling you. They're going to win.
Listen, if they do, you can absolutely just go crazy.
Oh, who they playing?
The Giants are playing the Eagles. The Giants are going to get killed.
Ooh. Damn.
Yeah, we're going to get... I think we still got to play the Eagles twice this year. I think, which is horrible.
I thought the Eagles were playing the 49ers.
I think I don't know if he's talking about this week, but he was saying basically. Well, I think we still have 2 games against the Eagles this year, which is terrible. Shout out to,
I think you guys will win one of those games.
That's only if they sit all their players out in the last week.
No, Mooch, I'm telling you, DeVito, he's not bad.
He's not bad, but he's not going to get us a chip. So I got to tell you that much right now. Shout out to Tactical Gamer. By the way, honestly, a moment here for Tactical Gamer. He says, from the heart of Africa, I'm finally to catch a show. Happy holidays to Mooch and the cast. I'd give anything to be back home for the holidays right now. Tactical's out there serving our country out there. He's in the military. So I say salute you, Tactical Gamer. Thank you for all the support over the years. He always talks to me in the chats. He's always talking video games in the DM. So shout out to Tactical. We all want you to get home safe too, buddy. So please.
Right.
Yes,
Thank
absolutely.
You for your service, man.
Absolutely. Thank you for your service, Tactical. And listen, when you're home, let me know when you're back here. We will be definitely shouting you out when you're back on U.S. soil, buddy, and safe and sound with your family. Shout out to you, the great Jeff B. Gaming, too. He says, keep in mind that PlayStation is in like phase 2 of development, while a lot of Xbox games from 2020 haven't dropped yet. So Jeff B. Gaming kind of saying something that's kind of, when you actually look at the games, and people like to do the list wars, if you do the lists that actually matter, it kind of goes back to what BRAP was saying a little bit earlier. This is actually, people are saying this is a very slow year for PlayStation 5. And you can go ahead and argue that if you want. But you had Forspoken came out, which was a timed exclusive there. Final Fantasy 16 and Spider-Man 2. And I know a lot of people say, well, 2 of those are not first party. But when you're a console owner and you're a customer and you only have a PlayStation, you got 3 pretty good sized games this year from that company that is exclusive to that platform. I mean, you could say it was I liked Forspoken. I beat Final Fantasy 16. I thought it was great. Definitely had that Game of Thrones vibe, which I fell in love with right away. And Spider-Man 2, I platinumed the minute I could. I honestly hated that it was over. It's probably one of the most fun games I've played in quite some time. So, I mean, you can go ahead and say PlayStation had a slow year. Boy, if this was a slow year, I can't wait to see when they have their foot on the gas.
I mean, but Rich, look at the sales numbers like for PlayStation 5 consoles.
Yeah,
like they were like 100% year over year. It's that's crazy.
Yeah,
insane.
Yeah, I mean, and look at they're actually outpacing, in spite of COVID, outpacing now the PlayStation 4, which is like Sony's second best, console ever sold, behind the PlayStation 2.
This last quarter to September 30th, PlayStation hardware is up 60% year on year, and it was already up the previous year by a huge margin, which is crazy, really. Like, it's insane that, because when you're already at a higher number, having the same metrics of growth is much harder. You know, it's easier to have high growth percentage from a low number than it is to a high one. But they're going from high numbers to even higher. No, it's just crazy. Like, this is why, like, as much as we're talking about, oh, you know, PlayStation has to do this, or they need to advertise this, or, you know, I am kind of talking about from the enthusiast Twitter crumb side perspective, because in reality, I just have to admit that from a business perspective in the wider spectrum, it doesn't mean jack diddly squat, because consumers don't actually care. The consumers are perfectly happy with whatever they're getting.
And that's kind of my point. Like the market, you look at the market has spoken. They want PlayStation. You know, like they want the Nintendo Switch. And I don't mean this like to slander Xbox, but they don't want the Xbox console. Like Xbox is negative growth, and if you compare it to PlayStation, where they are right now, like PlayStation is growing. There is a demand, even at full retail price. There's a demand for PlayStation.
Yeah. Silent Merc, shout out to Silent Merc. He said 7-1 for PlayStation in Europe and UK, 8-2 in Scotland for PlayStation. I just checked the numbers. He's from Scotland. Shout out to Silent Merc. You know,
here's the crazy thing about that, right? Those are the regions they put the price up by quite a margin as well. So yeah, we're suckers, I guess.
I mean, like remember, like everyone's like, "Oh my god, I can't believe that PlayStation increased prices in Europe," you know, and blah blah blah. And I mean, like, what was the result? The demand didn't like deteriorate. Like the demand was still high.
See, I think Mooch, I don't know if it was you or BRAP, but one of you said something, and I really do think this is a differentiating factor that people, again, I don't have any evidence on this because no data or no analysis or questionnaire or anything has ever been done. But, you know, someone mentioned like the dual sense and the haptics and the features, these kind of next-gen features and the loading times with Spider-Man and all of that. I really do think it actually resonates with consumers, because even from like a layman, you know, when you first got your PS5 and your cousins and your friends and stuff, they come round. The first thing that takes them is not the graphics or whatever. It's always that controller. Like when you put on Astrobot and people are like, what, the flip? Like, you know, it's a very new and innovative thing. And it's just the little quirks like that make it feel like more of a next-gen system rather than like a mid-gen upgrade. And I think that really does resonate with consumers.
Well, you know, Nib, I know you probably weren't listening, but back in 2019, 2020, when PlayStation 2020, when PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X were both coming out, the things I was saying on the show, way back then, we didn't even have the consoles in our home yet. They weren't released yet. I just talked about the ingenuity that went into the two consoles, the aesthetics, the fact that our Xbox was going to use the exact same UI. Xbox was going to use the same controller. It just, when I took the Xbox Series X home and I hooked it up and I booted up, first of all, I didn't even have a game to play. I bought Valhalla, which you guys all know. I'm not a big Assassin's Creed fan, but I bought that game to try and show some of the power the X was going to do. I just felt like I was playing a continuation of my Xbox One X. It didn't feel like a new generation. It didn't feel like something fresh. I took home the PlayStation 5. Sure, it had this crazy, funky like design. Okay, great. But it had the DualSense haptics. The triggers were awesome, right? It was unbelievable. And the feeling and the games changed. And it was like, so right off, and the new UI, right? And the new this, and the new that. And it's like, you come home, you plug in a new console, you paid $500. You want that new, fresh feeling. You didn't really get that from Xbox. And that was stuff I was saying back in the day. I mean, you guys are saying it now, and I agree with you.
I don't disagree with you. Like I was very skeptical, like, of the haptic feedback. I'm like, oh, this is like, this is like not going to be like, this is like not like really going to be great, And I was very skeptical about it. But when I played the haptic, like when I played, what was the game they launched? Oh my God, Astrobot.
Astrobot was great.
Yeah, Astrobot, yeah.
And I'm like, oh my God, like this is.
It was free in the box too. You know what I mean? I mean, I don't like using the word free because we all pay for everything's antiquated and put into the calculations. But
yeah, like and they delivered. I'm like, okay, like they're talking about haptic feedback, like whatever. That's it's kind of a gimmick. I thought it was a gimmick.
Well, everybody did,
Games.
right? The
I'm like,
media,
oh my
the media
God, they
thought it was a
delivered.
gimmick. Yeah.
They delivered, and not just Astrobot, but like Ghost of Tsushima. What's the other game?
Returnal, Gran Turismo 7,
yeah.
like they're really good
Returnal.
implementation.
Yeah, Gran Turismo. I'm like, oh
Ratchet
my
and
God.
Clank. I mean, utilized it. It's
Even the Call of Duty game that came out, Black Ops. I forgot the game.
that was Cold War.
Yeah, with the haptic feedbacks. I'm like, oh my God, like it's.
Yeah, that's why.
Like-
honestly, I do play a lot. You guys see it on my footage here.
Yeah.
A lot of my multiplayer from some of my friends that I've known for 20 years. I'll play a lot of the multiplayer on Xbox, but when I'm playing through the campaign, I usually play on PlayStation because I like the haptic feedback. Yeah.
And Horizon Zero Dawn. I'm like, oh my God,
Yes, that was great.
Pulling back on the bow.
Yeah.
Like feel the tension. I'm like, oh my God. Like it just, they actually, and I thought, I thought it was a gimmick. They actually delivered it.
And
I was like,
Spider-Man
wow.
too. While you're using your webs and you're this and that, and you're flailing through the city, like you could feel it. Honestly,
You could feel it, yeah.
And I see people they still don't believe it in the chat. Some people, because honestly, if you don't have one, the old saying, "Don't knock it till you try it."
I mean, remember Miles Morales like web slinging?
Yeah,
you could feel the tension of the web. I'm like, what?
Yeah,
like it's just I mean, it's good.
Really,
and when they announce haptic feedback, it's like, you know what, this is a gimmick, whatever. He's, what's his name? I forget his name now. Oh God, what is his name?
give me a hint. I don't know what you're referring to.
Jim Ryan, Mark
No, that's
Cerny.
Jim Ryan. The guy, what's his name? The architect of the PlayStation 5.
Oh,
Mark Cerny.
Mark Cerny.
Yeah, Mark Cerny. I thought he's full of shit. I'm like, yeah, whatever, Mark Cerny, you're full of shit. Whatever.
Yeah.
I can't say he's full of shit anymore. I got news for you. After he did
No,
that,
like Dib. I thought he's full, but then he's like, have the feedback and the SSD,
Yeah.
but they showed that. They
Yeah.
showed
No.
and I'm like, wow.
Yeah, I mean, touching off something someone else said, right? So I was the same. So I bought the Series X and I bought the PS5 at launch, right? I remember for the Series X, I got Assassin's Creed Valhalla and I bought Way of the Dragon, like Yakuza, right? And then I hadn't started Assassin's Creed, right? I was playing Yakuza. And then I watched the Digital Foundry comparison and they said the PS5 version was better, and I'm thinking, what? Like all this whole year, I've been hearing most powerful console GPUs, 12.1 teraflops, and this is like, I remember a lot of people were even saying it's not even 10.28, like it's all fake, it's overclocked, this and that, catch that on the mat, and I'm like, hold on a minute, like what's going on here? And Digital Foundry is saying, there's this frame rate advantage and a resolution advantage, or whatever it may be. So and swapped it for the PS5 version. So in my head, it was double whammy because I was like, okay, it's not really like necessarily the next gen experience, the change that I was expecting. I'm playing Yakuza Like a Dragon, which is a good game. Like it was fun, but let's just like it's not much of a technical showcase, let's put it that way. And then on the other side of the spectrum, what I thought would be my multi-platform console of choice, already straight out of the bat, why are the multi-platform games performing better on the other system, which also has the advantage of DualSense as well? So it was kind of like a bit of a weird one. And then if it's like with even an enthusiast gamer like me, I have to assume these things, trickle down with like through the grapevine to mass consumers as well, right? Because it's kind of things kids and whatever talk about at school or whatever.
shout out to Tactical Gamer. He says, Mooch, I'm telling you this. And Nib, you guys probably piggyback right off of what we were saying earlier. Shout out to Tactical again. He says, Mooch, I'm telling you over it now. On my way to Africa, I stopped at Spain, Germany, and the UK. Xbox consoles are nowhere to be seen. PlayStation has Europe locked. So shout out to Tactical. Again, I do want to say, get home safe, buddy. Can't wait to game again and hang out.
I mean, we
ahead,
know
bro.
that in like parts of Europe, like PlayStation's outselling Xbox 7-1.
Well, that's what you say. I believe it was, I can't remember who said it actually earlier. I think it was Silent Merc. They're saying 7-1 in certain parts of Europe, and then it's 8-2 over in
France.
Scotland, I guess. 9-1 in France, yeah. Let me do this. So
Yeah.
I did keep you guys here for well over 2.5 hours. I think it's actually, Nib's actually going to be making breakfast sandwiches for all of us right after this.
Nib, your food porn is amazing, by the way.
I don't. Nib, you're like I'm going. I don't know if you said. I don't know who in your family makes all the food, but I got to be honest with you. I'm really.
Where's that at? Where can I come visit?
I'm pissed off. I got to take a plane to come and mooch off you, buddy.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you ever did come down, I could actually, I have a restaurant, you know that, so I could actually give you food. So.
I could give you. I like how he said that. Nib. Like me and BRAP will be outside. Help us out, Nib, please. Somebody give Mooch some porridge over there, please.
You want more?
You want more? So shout out to you guys for staying here this whole time. I appreciate everyone. Please hit the like button, guys. If you haven't and you enjoy the content, I did tell you guys this. I should have mentioned it earlier in the show. But sometime this month we'll be announcing. I told you I'm probably going to do a new kind of show or something coming up in the very new year. In January is what I'm planning. So figure with the holidays and the news slowing down, we're going to continue to do CrossFire, but the new show will go on sometime in early January. That being said, I want to say shout out and thanks to everybody here. Shout out to King Thresh Gaming for stopping by. Thresh, I appreciate that. He says, facts. After the Xbox One, I thought Xbox Series X would have the same impact, but no. In reality, Xbox One X felt like a larger jump into next gen than the Xbox Series X did. Yeah, King, that's what I was saying, and I said that years ago. That's not me saying this today. I was saying this in 2020 before the consoles came out. I said, the feeling out of the box, it just didn't feel like I was jumping into that next generation. And that leap forward is the main reason that the early adopters go out and pull the $500 out of their pocket to get that experience. So shout out to Thresh for coming in. I appreciate that, guys. Appreciate the super chat. Super chat was working tonight. I appreciate it, everybody. Let me go in reverse order here and say shout out to the great Hindsight with Hustle, the great Hustle and Motivate. Hustle, I got to tell you, man, great to have you here. I know that your schedule's packed, but let's try and get you on more often if you're available, buddy. I love the work you're doing. Again, shout out to Bit, and you were just on RGT as well, which was a great show. I'm going to catch it later, but Hustle, let everybody know where they can find you, and thanks for joining us tonight.
Hey, just follow me on Twitter, HW Hustle 2020. I'm making retro content, so I don't know how relevant that may be to your audience, Mooch. However, I'm making retro content on a lot of the retro games. Just think like Retro Rebound, if you guys follow Mr. Matty Plays.
Yeah.
Or RGT85. He has a retro channel as well. Something along that line. Thank you for having me. Hey, everybody, Tuesday is a Grand Theft Auto 6 day. Don't drop no other trailers or nothing. Everybody, please stay out the way. Stay out the way.
Hindsight, before you go,
yes.
What recent retro game have you played that held up the best?
Ooh, Marvel vs. Capcom 2. I'll say that one. Ooh, what else? Ooh, that's an interesting question. Okay, wait. I'll say Marvel vs. Capcom 2 first because I'm playing a game called Wet that's on PS3.
Pause.
All right, Jack.
Pause.
Slow down.
That's what she said.
Oh my God, slow down. That game, the controls aren't necessarily bad, and I'm also hey Jack, I played a little bit of Enslaved Odyssey to the West.
Oh, that's fine. That's fine.
Yeah, it doesn't control bad or anything. So I'm just trying to get my feet wet with all that stuff. I will more than likely start Prince of Persia because I want to line those videos up for next month because Prince of Persia is dropping in January, I think. So I want to line some of those videos up. So I got the Sands of Time as well. All that stuff, PS3, all that stuff seems to control like great. But to answer your question, Marvel vs. Capcom 2, the Dreamcast version, not the PS2 version, there is a big difference in those versions. But the Dreamcast version for sure. Wait, was there anything else? No, that was it. Well, shit. Thank you for having me, Mooch.
Absolutely. Hustle, you always got a open door policy, buddy. Let me know when you're available. I'd love to get you on the show. Guys, go over and check out Hustle everywhere on Twitter. Are you still doing Twitch, Hustle? Have you moved your talents to YouTube?
Every so often now I'll stream on Twitch. I stream Super Mario RPG on Twitch, but that was just like a one-off thing. But it'll probably be focused on YouTube the second I get like my new job scheduled together, so I can know when I'm working and when I'm not. But
make sure you let me know, man. We'll promote it out for sure.
Oh, for sure. It'll be YouTube mainly though. To be honest with you,
I don't blame you. I'm actually gonna say shout out to the great Jack Move Johnny. Jack, honestly, everybody knows you're very, very well known on Twitter, X. Okay, and then everybody knows you, of course, from the Great Weapon Wheel podcast. 5:45 p.m. Eastern time over on Sunday over with BG and the gang over there. Honestly, I gotta tell you something, Jack. Are you gonna get back into streaming on a regular basis because that needs to happen as well?
Oh man, You know, I be wanting to stream, and I just be doing other stuff, man. You know, I'm trying to do this little gym situation, man. I be going out and whatnot. I'm gonna try to stream more often, though.
You got to, Jack. But let everybody know where they can find you. And Jack, honestly, I gotta be honest. Thank you for sticking around. I know I usually say 2 hours. I kept you here for a full 3, just about. So, Jack, I appreciate you taking your time on a Friday night with us. But let people know where they can find you, and hopefully get you back on the show real soon.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Appreciate everybody for watching, man. Dope show, dope panel. Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, whatever. What else I got? PSN, Jack Mooch. Y'all know how to find me, man. Appreciate y'all, man. I'm gonna put y'all on games too, though. Even though I am in this gym trying to get my health right, Zaxby's has a funnel cake that comes with caramel dipping sauce. I'm putting y'all on game right now. Y'all go check that out, okay? We talking about food. Y'all need to go. Yeah, tap in with that, okay?
Yes.
There you go. I had to eat one during the podcast, man. I had to have a little dinner, man, with a little snack on it, man.
I knew you was eating something. I said I heard him in the background.
I definitely was.
Hey, real quick, ladies and gentlemen, Jiggy merch, get in tune.
Yeah,
JiggyMerch.com.
Get some t-shirts, get some mugs or something. It's the Christmas season, man.
That's right.
I'm wearing a do-rag right now, man. And while my hair is growing back, the waves are starting to come in too. So I appreciate you, Jack.
You see the quality, right? You see the quality of the merch. You see that, right? Okay,
for sure. I got
the waves.
Appreciate you being here tonight, Jack, for sure. And then I got my boy Nib over here. Nib, honestly, let's get first time on, feels like a natural. Feel like a damn natural. So I know the time gap is a problem. I get it. 5 hours is not easy, but we got to get you on here more often. So Nib, let people know where they can find you everywhere. And thanks for being here, man. Outstanding showing first time on CrossFire. Definitely kept your own and then some. So let them know where you can find it. And of course, I'll be bothering the DMs at some point or another.
Yeah, thank you. No, it was great. It was a great discussion. I'm only on X. I don't like, so it's just NIB95_. That's it. No YouTube or nothing else. So
not yet, folks. Not yet. That's what I always tell people. Not yet. There's always a possibility, but with the restaurant business, it is difficult. I know that for sure. Shout out to you.
Yeah, I enjoyed this. I do enjoy these kind of things, though. So maybe I should do more of it. I don't know.
I think you should. I really, really do, buddy. Honestly, and we know what you can do. You can practice right here on CrossFire before you launch your own channel. We'll get you back on the show real soon. Nib, great to have you, buddy. Thank you. And then the Great Basement Radio Arcade Podcast. BRAP, you really are a trooper, buddy. You really are a trooper. You went out, you hung out, you got here.
Hey, man, like
you just went the whole show.
I went out for like a company happy hour thing.
Well, it sounded like a good time, you know.
It was a great time.
I'm sure it was.
They saying you drunk, man. What's going on? What's going on, man? They saying you drunk right now.
Hey, you know what, Jack? Hey, it's the holidays, man. Like I can't help that. You know.
Okay, I feel that. Okay. Nothing wrong with that.
He said, I'm not arguing with your holiday, Jackson. I don't mind that.
I mean, it is what it is, you know. Have a good time, you know.
BRAP, let everybody, even though you do phenomenal in-show plugs, let everybody know about Basement Radio Arcade Podcast.
Yeah, BRAP_podcast on X or Twitter, whatever it's called, and Basement Radio Arcade Podcast on YouTube. By the way, I gotta say, this is a great show, by the way, and I love seeing Hustle here because Hustle is it. He's in the DMV with me.
In case nobody knew Hustle.
So Hustle love it's great when you see people from the DMV talk video games like me, Hustle, Slow-Mo. It's great.
I got news for you. I'm looking for a DMV podcast.
Yeah, what that podcast is, man. Street's waiting on that.
Yeah. I think
they're not going to listen. They're not going to understand half the lingo. I'm going to talk about go mumbo sauce. They're going to be confused. They're going to be like, "What does slim mean, Bob? What is that?"
Right. And bet. Why do y'all keep saying bet?
Yeah, Mooch saw it earlier. That was something. I was like, wait, I forgot who I was talking to. I said,
you see, McDonald's has mumbo sauce now.
Yeah, I saw. They stingy with it too, bastards.
Are they really?
Yeah, they. I can't say where I'm at, but yeah, they stingy with it.
They're stingy where I'm at too.
And put my mumbo sauce in the bag.
I'm in the country DMV. Like, if they're stingy where you're from, where you are at, wow, that's not good.
My area turning more and more in the south, more and more in the south. I could say I'm in Waldorf, but Waldorf turning more and more in the southeast every goddamn day, man.
It definitely is.
I'm through with them.
Yeah, I told someone we got to go to a Wizards game, just hang out. Man, have a good time. That's it.
There you go. That's what we do on CrossFire. We bring the DMV together.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you, Mooch. But great show. And Nib, by the way, your food porn is on point. Awesome.
I'm just
And
getting
Jack-
rounder and rounder over here. I need to do what Jack did and get to the gym.
Yeah, and Jack move. I need hundreds like that though.
Hey man. Hey man. Yes,
Get
sir.
them damn donations up, people. Get them donations.
You see it, also. You
Jack,
see it.
Jack, you know what's funny? I love you in your bed. You had the comforter out. Hundreds.
Yeah, man. I gotta go put that in the bank, man. You know, just sometimes you feel like a little ignorant. You gotta, stun on somebody. You know, not ignorant.
Hey, tears
Well,
my ass.
that
That's the
person's
guy.
very ignorant, by the way.
Yikes.
Yeah,
Oh my
man.
god.
That person doesn't have hundreds. He might have like
Well,
fives
now-
or ones.
That's what I'm hearing, man. This is crazy, man. Salute to him. Though. I hope everything work out in the end, man. You know.
Hey, exactly. You know what's funny is that he doesn't have. I don't.
All right,
You know what?
Hey,
Brap,
You know,
Brap,
you know
Brap,
what-
Hustle,
Like,
I'm trying,
you know,
Hustle.
Jack,
I'm
he-
Brap, have a Gatorade.
He didn't realize he contradicted himself. Like,
Hey,
come
Brap,
on, dude.
Brap,
Let's
we're
stop.
trying to get everybody to home to their
sorry.
families and play video games.
Some of the stuff that I
All
see,
right,
like
all right.
Jack,
That's a whole other show,
he
Brap.
contradicted himself and didn't realize that. I'm like, stop. Like, why?
Oh, yeah, he good for that. You already know.
All right, Brap is
I'm sorry.
Brap knows Brap can extend a podcast like no other. He is the man with the plan with that. I got news for you. Shout out to the
I'm
great
sorry. I'm
Brap.
sorry.
It's okay,
I'm
Brap.
sorry. I didn't mean
It's
to do
all
that,
right.
Brap.
I'm trying to get my bourbon on, Brap. Okay, I can't do it till after the show. I got to get going here. I got to get a drink in. Shout out to the great Slow-Mo Backslap who couldn't. He had to leave earlier. He did do a DPS plug, but we got to give him and Forte a little love. So go over and check out DPS Podcast Thursday nights, 9 p.m. Eastern Time. Always go over and check those guys out. And the great Merc had to leave as well. Now, Merc, honestly, just so everyone can follow him, it's at Merc305OFC. Go over and follow him on Twitter. We got to get him back on here as well, too. Guys, outstanding show tonight. Thanks to everybody that's still here. Please hit the like button on the way out. I see there's 270 people still here. Hit another like button. Hit a button on the way out. We'll see you guys next Friday, 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Peace out and good night. Enjoy your weekend, guys.
Gents, have a good one.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
What's up?
I'm gonna hold on. I can see you about to pull us up.